The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing once again with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's good? What's the deal, people? If you're watching it live, smash the like button. If you're watching the playback, smash the like button. We're live once again. This is, in fact, like I'm getting closer and closer as the seconds tick and the minutes go by and the hours pass. I'm getting closer and closer to having to leave the majestic land of the rising sun. I'm getting closer to having to go back to the United States. So really just enjoying my last couple days here in Japan and trying to put the finishing touches on what has been an absolutely unforgettable, life-changing trip. I'm a different person now than when I came here. So yeah, just trying to make the most of it. But while I'm here, while I got time, while we got big fights coming up, because we got Benavidez Morell coming up on Saturday, I want to come here and just like give my final thoughts on that, as well as, of course, talk to you guys, the fine folks of boxing, about everything else going on in boxing. Anything that you guys want to talk about, you just leave it in the comments. And, you know, I'm going to do my best to answer your questions and talk to the people. And, yeah. And you guys can enjoy the aesthetics of Tokyo. Right now, I'm walking to this Tokyo sky tree, so you guys will get some good aesthetics while I'm walking through Japan. But yeah, whenever you guys comment, I'll start answering. But as far as Benavidez Morell, let's talk about Dea Benavidez versus Dea Morell, because to be honest with you, and I don't know if I'm the only person that feels this way, but I feel like I'm so excited for Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa, the rematch, that I really haven't even paid or given as much thought as I should to Benavidez versus Morell, because I'm more excited about Figueroa versus Fulton. So let's talk about Benavidez Morell. It's an amazing fight. It's still a really entertaining fight at light heavyweight. I think it would have been maybe a bigger fight if it was at super middleweight, but you know, it's happening, so you don't want to be the complaining, miserable boxing fan. I'm not a miserable person, and so I don't want to put that out there into the universe and put that out to the people. This is a great fight, and people should be excited about this fight. As far as the styles, like Dea Benavidez, I actually feel like, and this, I don't know if this is a popular or unpopular opinion. It's just my opinion, but I actually feel like Dea Benavidez is the more versatile fighter. Yes, because people didn't really give Benavidez the credit, and even I didn't at first when he fought Vosdick. But like, Benavidez can actually box. Benavidez actually has slickness. Benavidez understands foot positioning. Benavidez can be a volume puncher. Benavidez can be a counter puncher. When he fought Demetrius Andre, he threw like this corkscrew right hand from a weird angle. So even his punch selection is versatile. You know, there's more to the Mexican monster than just him being the Mexican monster. And you know, I think the burden of proof, really, when it comes to this fight, the burden of proof is on Dea Morell, because when we talk about Benavidez, we know what we're getting. We know we're getting one of the most destructive, one of the most vicious, and one of the most, I think, quietly, it doesn't get talked about, but one also a very versatile, dynamic offensive fighter. So in my opinion, and on top of that, Benavidez was the youngest super middleweight champion in boxing history. So to me, when I break down the fight, the burden of proof is on Morell. Morell doesn't have the fight experience that Benavidez has. He doesn't have the big fight experience Benavidez has. And that's why I give him so much credit for taking the fight, because you know, he could have, you know, continued to build himself a light heavyweight. He didn't light the world on fire in his last fight when he fought Hot Rod. He actually looked like, honestly, if we're comparing like their last performances, Benavidez, I thought, outperformed Morell in his last performance. In his light heavyweight debut, he outperformed Morell. I thought, because with the Vosdick fight, the criticism wasn't about if Benavidez won the fight or not. The outcome was never in question. It was just more so like the performance, the level of dominance wasn't what we're accustomed to seeing from a Dea Benavidez, right? And so that being said, that was the criticism. That was the criticism. He won the fight easily. For Morell, no, he had to go in there and really like work. He had to work hard against Hot Rod to win. He had to, Some people thought. I don't think people were saying that Hot Rod got robbed or anything like that, because he didn't get robbed, but it was a close fight, closer fight than it should have been. And Morell didn't really do anything. By the way, is the comment section disabled? Because I'm not getting any comments. There was like 11 of you here. Somebody leave a comment, because sometimes when I go live, there's like a setting that I mess up sometimes where the comment section is disabled or whatever. And I don't know if I did that this time, but I'm pretty sure I have comments. So somebody comment something so I know that there's comments. But yeah, because if not, I'm just gonna start the live over and make sure that that's in order. Because I really I do these lives because I want to talk to you guys. I like interacting with people in the comment section. But as far as yeah, Morell, I think Morell has a lot to prove. Caleb says, "Champ, you saw Benavidez getting into it with Sean." No, what did Benavidez say to Sean? Zattel? What the hell? What the hell? Nah, I didn't see it. So you got to put me on game. What the hell did Benavidez do? If you're talking about my boy Sean Zattel, no, definitely not. I don't know anything about that. I'm in Japan. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and I'm going to Tokyo Skytree. I'm walking around that area. So, nah, put me on game. What happened with Sean? I don't know why Benavidez will go off on Sean Zattel, because Sean Zattel is like the #1 Deiya Benavidez advocate. Hopefully, he didn't say anything too crazy to Sean, because that's not cool. Like Sean is literally the #1 Deiya. He's the #1 Deiya Benavidez advocate in boxing media. So, nah, please inform me. I would like to know what the hell happened with my boy Sean Zattel and Deiya Benavidez. While I'm waiting for your comment. By the way, there's 11 of you guys here. I only got 3 likes. Please smash the like button, guys. When I don't go live for a long period of time, you guys, I get comments, I get messages, and people saying, "BT, you don't go live anymore. We missed the lives. You forgot about us. You got big. You're Hollywood now." And then when I come live, y'all be being stingy sometimes. So don't do that. Smash the like button so that this live gets pushed out to as many people that aren't subscribed to me as humanly possible, so we can continue to grow this channel and keep good boxing content in the faces of the masses, But yeah, Morell has a lot to prove. Morell has, I don't know if Morell has the faster hands, but he's got probably the fastest hands Benavidez has seen in the professional ranks. So that's going to be interesting to see how can Morell use his hand speed to offset the Benavidez hand speed, and can he actually use that hand speed to push Benavidez back? That's, for me, when I break down the fight from the Morell point of view, that's the fight within the fight, is how does he use his hand speed to offset and exploit Deiya Benavidez? Because Benavidez, name the fighters he's fought. Look at the guys he's fought. He fought Andrade, he fought Lemieux, he fought Plant, he fought Vosdick. These are all good fighters that he's fighting. These are all good fighters he's fighting, but I don't think any of those fighters had the hand speed of a Deiya Morell. So that's really the interesting thing, because normally Benavidez always has the hand speed advantage over the guys he fights. So what happens when he doesn't have the hand speed advantage and he's fighting a guy who's closer to him in size than most of the time? How does he deal with that? I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. He seems like he's fighting with the point to prove. Morell, I'm sure he's fighting with the point to prove as well, because what is he on, like 10 or 11 fights into his career? He's not even had 15 fights, so he's got so much to prove. The winner of this fight, they're saying is going to fight Beterbiev versus the Beterbiev Bivol rematch winner. Selfishly, I want Benavidez and Beterbiev to win, because I've always wanted to see Benavidez versus Beterbiev. I think that's one of the most violent, most destructive fights in boxing. So that's what I'm giving y'all a play. That's why I want to win. But obviously, it's not about who I want to win. It's about who is the better fighter on the night. And I think Benavidez will beat Morell. I think Morell's problem, is going to be big fight experience. I think he showed in the Hot Rod fight that he can be pushed back. And I got respect for Hot Rod. He's a good fighter, but Hot Rod is no Benavidez. And I think Benavidez is going to push him back. I think Benavidez is going to show that he has better boxing skills than people give him credit for. I think he'll lose a couple rounds, but I think he'll probably get a stoppage around like round 10, round 9 or round 10. I think it'll take him some rounds to get used to the Morell size and hand speed and those kind of things, but then he'll make the adjustment. I think he's going to show some things in this fight. Caleb says, yes, Sean Tell, he just added it on his channel. Sean asked some Art of War type stuff like Morell is trying to get in his head, and David said, you keep throwing subliminals, go ask Morell. Oh, I don't know what he means by that. Go throwing subliminals. That's crazy. I mean, listen, I wouldn't take it too personal. One thing I know about fighters and being around big fights and being around, some of the best fighters in the world when it comes to fight time and being, I've even been part, like many of you guys know with Angelo Leo, I've been part of a world title training camp. So I know when it gets to fight time, when it's time to go to war, I know that, emotions are high, tensions are high. So you can't really take anything a fighter says to you or anybody from the team, they say to you with, you can't take it to heart, because these guys, you got to understand the amount of pressure these guys are under. Benavidez turned pro in what? He turned pro like in what, like 2015 or 16 or something like that. I mean, he's been professional for like 10 years or close to it. And he's just, it's taken a long time. It's taken a long time for Benavidez to build value in his name and value in his career, as it does for every fighter. So you got to understand, when you get to this level and you're fighting another guy that people think can beat you, and if Benavidez were to lose this fight, sure, he's a name, sure, he's gonna still be in great fights, but anytime a fighter loses, their value will take a dip. That's just the truth. That's the harsh reality of our sport, and that's why it's so important for the fighters to win. So I wouldn't take it too personal. I remember like Richardson Hitchens got mad at me. Richardson Hitchens, like I've had fighters go off on me and say worse to me than Benavidez said to Sean, if what you're saying is word for word. So okay, that's interesting. Let me see who else we got. Word up says, you're still in Japan. Yes, I told you, man. Listen, last year, early in 2024, we did 90 days of boxing. Towards the end of 2024, going into 2025, we do it 90 days in Japan. So 90 and 90. How about that? Yeah, I'm still here, but I only got like 3 or 4 more days left, and then I'm back on American soil. So I'm just trying to get the most of it out of it as I can. There's a boxing show here in Japan, February 1st. So tomorrow here in Japan, there's a show. I don't know if I'm going yet. I want to go, but I'm waiting for some confirmation on some tickets. So if I get the tickets, I'll be at the show for Subaru Murata tomorrow. But I'm not sure if I'm going yet, so that's not confirmed. But if I don't go to that show, then that pretty much means, boxing content wise, like, Japan is done. I'm just gonna chill and explore Tokyo and move around, and that's about it. Got do some last minute shopping for some friends back home and get them some gifts, but that's about it. So yeah, but it's been productive. Bro has been in Japan for 3 years. It seems like that. Shit, I got here November 5th. I'm leaving February 3rd. So that is a long time. Alex, shout out to Alex, or Afro Jam, says Figueroa versus Fulton 2 is the co-main event. It is, but for me, it's the main event. That's the fight I'm most excited about. What are your thoughts on Benavidez accusing Morell getting dropped in sparring by Gallegos? Dudes get their ass kicked in sparring all the time. So if that is possible, if that did happen, then okay. Then all the more reason it should be easier for Benavidez to beat the freaking brakes off Morell. Sparring is not a fight. One thing that boxing fans don't understand about sparring, because a lot of times these sparring stories get leaked and a lot is made of sparring, but a lot of the times when fighters are sparring, you could have one guy who's literally like in almost peak shape, like he's like a week out from his fight, he's got 5.5 to 6 weeks of training camp in, and then he might spar a guy, and it might be his first time back sparring in like 2 months. And then, if the guy who hasn't sparred in 2 months is a bigger name than the guy who's like deep into his camp, and the guy who's deep into his camp who's not as big of a name beats up the other guy, then they say, oh, he got exposed in sparring. So a lot of times you hear these sparring stories, but you never hear context as to where both guys were in their camps and these kind of things. So I always take sparring stories with a grain of salt. Your favorite fighters and some of the best fighters in the world get their ass kicked in sparring more than they would like to admit. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it. If that's the case, then Dave Benavidez should beat the brakes off Morell even easier. How about that? Bro, have you recovered from Inoue staring you down? I didn't. When Inoue stared at me, I literally felt nothing. I'm not scared of nothing. So, yeah, there's nothing to recover from. He stared at me. I thought it was cool. I felt literally nothing. Yeah, that's all I can say. Morell accused Marcos Viegas of being Team Benavidez. Fighters do that all the time, man. Like, that's one thing I don't like about fighters. Now, if a fighter accuses me of being Team Angelo Leo, then I'm not gonna ever deny that because I am Team Angelo Leo. Like, I'm actually on the team, so that's different. But like, whenever people in the media are asked to give an opinion on a fight, and they give their opinion on a fight, and a fighter who, they made a prediction against sees it, then they say, "Oh, you over there, stay on that side," and it's like, bro, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Just beat. Just we're doing our job. You're doing yours. Are you gonna stare him down in Vegas? He's coming to your home. I don't gotta stare nobody down. I'll say hello. I'll stare at him. Whatever. I don't care. Yeah, I'll be in Vegas when he fights. Inoue must know. I mean, listen. I don't even care what he knows. I don't care what he knows and nobody knows. I know more. Let me see. Did you visit the Winning Factory yet? No, I did not visit the Winning Factory. And just by that question being asked, I already know that's John. Shout out to my boy John out there in upstate New York. No, I didn't go to the Winning Factory. It's not really something that's been on my mind since me and you talked about it on Instagram, but who knows? Maybe I'll make a last minute stop, but I wouldn't like bet on it. Because there's other things I want to do besides, like, honestly, after today, after this live, like my last couple of days, I don't want to make no content. I don't even want to think about boxing until I get back to the States. So, Benavidez always sounds grumpy. He's just pissed off. I like Benavidez, man. Benavidez, he's just pissed off greatness. Because you got to understand, to understand why he is how he is now, you got to understand the place that Benavidez is operating from. This is a person that was a fat kid, all right? And I'm sure when he was fat and people were looking at his brother, Jose Jr., as being the star of the family, these are the kind of things that put a chip on your shoulder for life. So he's always trying to fight against those demons of, like, being the fat kid who wasn't as good as his brother. And it's funny because now he's way surpassed his brother and he's no longer fat and he's done quite well for himself, making himself $1 million fighter, 7-figure fighter. But still, he wants to prove that he's the best in the world. He wants to prove that he's, like, a special fighter. And we'll see. These are the kind of fights. I mean, he's been doing a great job. I give him credit for, like, the run that he's on. He beat Plant. He beat Andrade. He beat Vazic. Now he's fighting Morell. So this is a great 4-fight run. And mind you, I'm not a guy that was always on the Benavidez. I didn't always like. I liked Benavidez, but I wasn't always, like, as high on him as a lot of people in the world because I feel like he wasted a lot of time chasing Canelo. And I knew Canelo was never going to fight him because look at Canelo's track record, And people don't like when I say that, but it's just like, it's the truth. So I'm happy he finally made the move to light heavyweight, and ever since he's done that, the latter part of the 68 run and then now at light heavyweight, I feel like he's been really making up for a lot of lost time. So I can't criticize him. He actually is. He's been proving that he is what he says he is. So for me, the burden of proof is not on Benavidez in this fight. We know what we're getting with him. Oh, by the way, guys, look at that right there. That's the Tokyo Sky Tree. Look at that. It's pretty tall, right? Look at that. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the burden of proof is on Morell. And yeah, honestly, I watched the Hot Rod fight last night, and I didn't like what I saw from him. I didn't. I really didn't. If Hot Rod was having that much success pushing you back, Benavidez is craftier and smarter than a guy like Hot Rod. So to be honest with you guys, I'm picking Benavidez by stoppage. But if I have to predict the process of how it's gonna happen, like I think he's gonna like it's gonna be a pretty tight fight for like about 3 to 4 rounds, and I think around the middle rounds Benavidez is gonna pull away, and I think Benavidez is gonna really show his skills, like not just the volume punching, not just the fact that he's a Mexican monster and all that stuff. I'm talking about boxing skills. I'm talking about foot positioning. I'm talking about counter punching. I'm talking about punch selection. I'm talking about all the nuanced things, the subtle things that make a fighter great. I feel like he's gonna show that in this fight, and this is gonna be one of the fights to where if people don't respect Dave Benavidez or they're not completely sold on him like I once was, then like they're gonna have to go ahead and start to put some more respect on his name. Because listen, I've been here on YouTube for years, and I vividly remember a lot of people saying that he wouldn't fight Dave Morrell Jr., that he was ducking Dave Morrell Jr. And because he was so hell-bent on facing Canelo Alvarez, he just had tunnel vision on Canelo Alvarez for years, that a lot of people said he was ducking him. So he's fighting him now, and now we're gonna see who's who. And this is what boxing's all about. Like we just want to see who's who. You know, we want to see these big fights. At least I do. I don't know about boxing fans. Some boxing fans say that they want fighters to take big fights, but then when they take big fights and they lose, they say the fighters are trash, like Stephen Fulton. You know, we've already hashed that out in videos. I don't gotta rehash that here, unless you guys want me to. Then I'll start rehashing it. I'll start saying, you know what, you know, I'll start reciting that whole video word for word. Where's my DHP merch? Devin Haney, I don't have no DHP merch. I only have, to be honest with you guys, I only have merch from fighters that I'm like really fans of. Like if I have a shirt of yours and you're a fighter in boxing, that means I really fuck with you. That means I'm really like a fan of yours. So I think right now the only fighters, oh, you know what? Let me show you guys this, because you guys keep saying you want to see you want to see Japan. Look, got the train right there. Best train system that I've experienced. I don't know if it's the best train system in the world, but Japan got the best train system I've experienced. And then boom, you got the Tokyo Skytree. Boom, see that? So yeah, just another day here in Japan. But I got, yeah. As far as merch, I mean the only fighters who have shirts for, I have an Angelo shirt. I have a Tommy Hearns shirt. I have a Tommy Hearns t-shirt, and then I have, let's see, what else do I have? Lorenzo Medina, who's like from a friend of mine. It's not a lot of people have shirts of. I have a True School Sports shirt. Look at this. They're playing, what is it, tennis? They're playing paddleball. Look, they're playing paddleball. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're playing paddleball. But no, to answer your question, I don't have any Devin Haney merch. That's not in my it's not in my collection. Morell might surprise us. I don't know, BT. He might. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not doubting Morell. I like Morell. I think listen, this fight's only a big fight because Morell is dangerous, you know? It takes 2 top fighters to make a fight a big fight, you know? I don't think he's gonna be. I really don't think he's gonna beat Benavidez. From what I've seen in the Hot Rod fight, I didn't like what I saw. Next time you are in Japan, are you gonna go to Mount Fuji? Probably. I mean, I gotta get more experience hiking. When I was in West Japan with my translator Taihei, I climbed the tallest mountain in West Japan, which is Mount Ishizuchi, and that was an experience. Who do I got? Fulton and Figueroa. It's a great fight. I could see Figueroa winning, but I'm picking Stephen Fulton. Brandon Figueroa does not move his head, and he does not throw punches at an elite level. So if he beats Stephen Fulton the way everyone says he is, then that means Stephen Fulton is actually washed up, and Stephen Fulton is actually just complete. And Noe did take his soul. See, I'm not picking against Stephen Fulton in this fight because, number one, I don't think Brandon beat him in the first fight. and I don't think Inoue took his soul. I think people made a bigger deal than they should have over the flash knockdown against Carlos Castro, where Stephen Fulton wasn't even hurt, and he still won the majority of the rounds in the fight, which is why he got the decision. People made a bigger deal about that than they should have, and I think the reason why people made a bigger deal of that than they should have is because a lot of people just love Inoue to the point of where they worship Inoue, and they just want a way to feel like even better about Inoue, so that they gotta put down Stephen Fulton. But Stephen Fulton to me is still a top fighter, and Brandon Figueroa, like everyone's talking about Brandon Figueroa like he's Julio Cesar Chavez and he's this like killer. He's a good fighter, like I think he's a good fighter, but he never really corrected, like he hasn't done a whole lot about since losing to Fulton. Everyone goes on and on about the fights that what Stephen Fulton hasn't done since Inoue, but the reality is Brandon Figueroa hasn't done a whole lot since he lost to Fulton, and he hasn't done a whole lot as far as improving his skills, because again, Brandon is he's at where he's at in boxing because he's very good. He's become very good at exploiting his height and being a volume puncher. Size and volume is why he is a top fighter. It's not because of his skills. He never really improved upon developing his straight left hand. And I feel like if Brandon had even if he had an above average, it don't even gotta be an elite or a great straight left hand, but if he had an above average straight left hand, he would have knocked Stephen Fulton out. He would have beat the brakes off of him. Because Stephen Fulton showing his whole career that he has a problem getting his head out the center line with the straight punch down the middle. He got dropped, or he got hurt in the Adam Lopez fight by a straight right hand down the middle. He got hurt against Angel Leo in the 4th round with a straight right hand down the middle. He got hurt and then dropped by Inoue with a straight right hand, then a left hook that dropped him, right? Carlos Castro dropped him with a straight right hand down the middle. So it's a recurring theme, and it's happened at every stage of his career. And it's a weakness that he has. But it's a weakness that Brandon Figueroa, I don't think he can exploit, because he didn't do it in the first fight when he had him hurt. And I don't think he's going to do it in the second fight because it's not a skill he really improved on. This is what I'm seeing on film. This is not my feelings. This is not who I like. I'm watching Brandon Figueroa. I went back and I watched the Fulton rematch. I watched the Jesse Magdaleno fight. I even went back and I watched his fight against Julio Ceja. He does not have an elite straight left hand to speak of. And then he keeps his head right there on the center line. So like any fighter, not just Stephen Fulton, but any fighter who can throw a straight right hand at an above average level is going to have a chance to beat Brandon Figueroa. The problem when fighting a guy like Figueroa is that Figueroa is so durable. He's very durable, and he's big and he's physical, and he throws a lot of punches. So you have to be physically and mentally prepared to deal with that for 12 rounds. You know, and it's hard. That's the hard part about fighting him. But I'm picking Stephen Fulton by UD, and I don't think he's gonna knock Brandon Figueroa out. I don't think he'll drop him, but I think he's gonna stun Brandon Figueroa in this fight at least one time. He's gonna hit Brandon Figueroa with a shot where like you're gonna see an effect, because Brandon is gonna come out really strong. He's gonna try to rush Stephen Fulton, and I just think that it's when it doesn't work, when he doesn't actually knock out or drop Stephen Fulton, when it doesn't work, you know, I think Stephen Fulton is going to make a lot of adjustments and start letting something. I think Stephen Fulton is going to surprise a lot of people. So I got him by a decision in a really, really good fight. You know, at first when people asked me like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was picking Brandon Figueroa because I felt like, you know what, Stephen Fulton he had a hard time in the back half of that fight. They're fighting at a higher weight. He's taking a knockout loss. But then I started watching the film on Brandon Figueroa, and I'm just like, nah, man, this is not it. Maybe he'll win a fight. Maybe they'll give him the decision because there's more money to be made with Figueroa. At this point, they can't make no more money on Stephen Fulton. So if it's a close fight, I think it will go to Figueroa. But I think Stephen Fulton is the better fighter. When I look at the skills, the strength, the weaknesses, even like the intangible stuff, I just think he's better than Brandon. To be honest with you, if you guys want my opinion about Brandon, and anybody who's ever heard me talk about Brandon Figueroa knows this. I don't like, he's beaten some really good fighters and had some good performances, but I think Brandon Figueroa is one of the most overrated fighters in the featherweight division. Always have. because he doesn't really have anything outside of his size and his volume. He's very defensively irresponsible. He doesn't have different styles he can fight out of. He's not this elite puncher. So that's why if you look at like a lot of his fights, look at the Lewis Neri fight, one judge had him losing, one judge had it a draw, and one judge had him winning. When he fought Carlos Castro, I believe two of the judges had it for Castro and one had it for him, or it was the other way around. Like he doesn't really have dominant fights against top competition. And so when people start going on about Brandon Figueroa, I don't look at him as like one of the top guys, even though he is because of his size and his volume. From a skill standpoint, I don't look at him as a top guy. That's just the truth. So that's how I feel. And then he did fight Julio Ceja, who did come in overweight, so I will acknowledge that. But like Brandon's supposed to be a better fighter than Julio Ceja, and he had a draw with him, and a lot of people thought he lost that fight. So my thing is like, I just think for me, the jury's still out on Brandon Figueroa. Shout out to Pops with the $20 super chat. He says, "Thank you all for the content in Japan. Everyone, please super chat, hit the like." Yeah, thank you, Pops. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great here in Japan. It's been great. Taking this path that nobody else in America will ever take, because it's not easy. It's scary if you're not from Japan and you don't know anybody in Japan. You don't know where to start. You have to have a specific love for Japanese boxing. And let's be real, in America, unless it's Inoue, American boxing media don't give a damn about no damn Japanese boxing. American boxing media barely cares about American boxing. Straight up. That's a bar. That's a bar right there. Why would American boxing care about Japanese boxing when American boxing media barely cares about American boxing? That's a bar and a half. Shout out to my guy Hafid. Shout out to Hafid. Hafid, I sent you a DM, man. I sent you a DM. So when this live is done, I don't know what your plans are for today, but I like to go see you because I got some time today. He said the best boxing content creator 2025 and onward. Yes, I thank you. I'm definitely gonna keep going. Eventually, it'll get dark for Morell, and I don't know if Morell is truly ready for that. He's so flashy, but is he really a gladiator like Benavidez? I'm not sure. That's my thing. Like, he's been in some good fights, but if you watch a lot of these Morell fights, like against Mario Caceres, a lot of these guys, when Morell hits these guys, there's not a whole lot of resistance put up. One of the only guys that fought Morell that I could say, the only two guys I could say that Morell fought that put up any resistance was his last fight against Aduvoy Kalazic, Hot Rod, and then his second fight in his career against Lennox Allen. Those are the only two guys that put up any real resistance, and when they did, he didn't have an adjustment that he made to make that like a fight where he could get a knockout. And so to me, that's very alarming, because Benavidez is gonna put up some resistance. I'm telling you that right now. He's not gonna just knock out Benavidez with one shot. If Morell knocks out Benavidez, it's gonna have to be an accumulation over the rounds. It would actually shock me. It would shock me if he knocked out Benavidez with one punch, because Morell can punch, but lower level guys who are not as durable as Benavidez have shown the ability to take his punches and put up resistance. So I believe that Benavidez is better than those guys, and not even just skill wise. I just think he's more durable than those guys. So yeah. Honestly, the more that I'm talking about it, now I don't even, like, I'm talking about it out loud. I'm talking about it out loud, because sometimes when I think about boxing, when I talk about it, it's like two different things. So now that I'm talking about the fight out loud a lot more, honestly, I think Benavidez is gonna beat the brakes off Morell, because I'm trying to, like, it is a great fight, and I like Morell. Like, I don't got nothing against Morell. He's a fun fighter to watch, and he brings a lot of value to boxing. I even know his manager. Shout out to his manager, Alex. I remember one time back in South Florida before I moved to Vegas, like 2 weeks before I moved to Vegas, I was going grocery shopping one day, and I ran into Morell's manager, Alex. So shout out to him. But that don't mean anything. I know his manager, but that don't mean anything. He gonna lose. I think Benavidez gonna beat the brakes off of him, because he doesn't have enough experience. You can't just go from fighting Hot Rod to Benavidez, and then like Afro Jam says, he doesn't know if Morell even truly beat Hot Rod. You're not the only person I've heard say that. So, you know, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't believe I've already been live for 35 minutes. That's crazy. Let me see. Yeah, we're just chilling right now. I want to find somewhere to sit. Cause I'm tired of walking. I want to find somewhere to sit. But smash that like button. It's your boy BT, the untouchable, True School Sports Empire, live once again, reporting to you live and direct from Sumida City, Tokyo, Japan. Yes, sir. Just here, patrolling the streets. It's actually a nice day today. The sun is out. It's not depressing like it was about a week ago here in Japan. And just talking boxing, you know, ready to go back to the States here soon, and then start training camp with Angelo Leo, you know, for the Kameda fight. I'm already doing my studying too. I'm studying all these featherweights. Like I've been watching a lot of Inoue. I've been watching a lot of Kameda. I've been watching a lot of Fulton and Figueroa. I've been watching a lot of Espinoza, and I got my notes. I'm in camp study mode right now, because we got to make sure we keep delivering these top upper echelon knockouts, top performances to the boxing world. Let me see. How cold does it get there? Like, it doesn't get as cold in Tokyo as it does like in West Japan where I was at early in the trip. But I mean, it's gotten as low as like, I think like 25, 30 degrees since I've been here. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is too, if it's not so much the cold, but like if it's cold and it rains, then you're in trouble. Because when it rains, it gets colder. So I hate when it's cold and then it rains. Because when it rains and it's cold, that's like the worst combination in the world. I hate it. So it's hard to describe, but that's what I can say about it. Let me see, where's this? Sky trees that way, so I have to go back this way. Yeah, get your questions in, guys. I don't know how long I'm gonna go live today, so I'm feeling it out. If we get more questions and the people have interesting things to say to me, then I'll stay live. Michael Manning was good. Yes, Michael Manning, one of my favorite viewers on the channel, on the building. How are you, champ? Over there in Boston. Right now here I'm in Tokyo. Look, that's the Tokyo Sky Tree. It's a pretty big deal. I didn't realize how big of a deal this thing was till the other day, because there's another thing like that in another part of Tokyo. But this one's a big deal because there's always like people with cameras taking pictures and stuff. He says, cashed the parlay last week. Okay, yeah, man, cashed them parlays. Shout out to Parlay Gang. I hope everyone's parlays are going well, you know. I don't bet, like I try not to bet on anything because I have an addictive personality. So if I do anything, I'll go crazy, you know. So if I start gambling, I'll gamble all my money, you know. If I was a drug addict, I do the hardest drugs, you know. So I don't gamble. So it's like how I am with boxing. Like, I'm following boxing, I'm covering boxing, I'm going as deep as possible, you know. So same thing with the women, you know. The same statement applies to the women. Who do you want the winner of BF versus SF? What the hell is... Oh, Brandon Figueroa. Who do I want? Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton to fight next? Well, selfishly, I want Stephen Fulton to really win that fight, because I want the Stephen Fulton Angelo Leo rematch. Because not only is it a rematch, but it's a rematch. It would be a rematch unification scenario, which almost never happens in boxing. So I would like that fight. If Fulton wins, if Figueroa wins, he can get it too. But I really want it to be Fulton. If those guys, yeah, I'll say Angelo. I'll just say Angelo. Yeah, because I think you know, I've been very adamant about this. If Angelo and Stephen Fulton fight at featherweight, I think it's just different. You know, I know it's different. It's not even a matter of I think. I know it's a different fight because I know a lot about things that I know a lot of information you guys don't know. That's not privy to the public, and I'll just leave it at that. Is Brian Norman Jr. really fighting on the Michaela Mayer undercard? Yes, he is. That was just confirmed today. They just announced the card for March the 29th in Las Vegas. I believe the venue is the Fountain Blue, which is normally in Vegas. The Fountain Blue it's a nice venue. It's a nice place to watch a fight, but it's normally reserved in boxing for the lower prestige fights. So I think, yeah, you know, Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer 2 will be a good fight, but as far as what was Fulton has been off. What was the question again? It was yeah, he's fighting Derek Cuevas, and he was supposed to fight Derek Cuevas initially on the Keeshawn Davis, Gustavo Lemos undercard, but he got an injury. So I'm happy he's just fighting. I know people are gonna complain and say that you know what they're going to say, and fair enough. He didn't fight Boots. He didn't fight Boots, so he deserves the criticism, and his dad didn't do him any favors either. So we'll see how he does. I'm actually really intrigued about the fight because I know a lot about Brian Norman's opponent, Derek Cuevas, because Derek Cuevas, quiet as kept, he had a little, I wouldn't say like a lot of hype, but he had some hype on him like 7 to 6 years ago when I was living in South Florida and I was covering boxing, a lot of the boxing scene in South Florida. He used to train at this gym called the Heavyweight Factory, and they had their own promotional company, and he was signed to them. And he was like, at the time, he was a fighter that, you know, not just them, but a couple other promotional companies in boxing wanted. And then, you know, he didn't really like, when he came to America from Puerto Rico, he didn't really light the world on fire. He wound up losing to this Argentinian when John David Jackson was training him, and then him and John David Jackson split. But ever since that fight, he went back to Puerto Rico, started getting his career back in order, getting some wins, and now this is his chance to, you know, announce himself to the world. So I'm actually intrigued about the fight. Norman should beat Cuevas because Cuevas, I mean, I know I've seen him fight, even in some of his fights where he's looked good. And Cuevas ain't, you know, Cuevas isn't no otherworldly talent. I think Brian Norman should beat him. But after Cuevas, you know, I think Brian Norman versus Duran Ennis needs to happen if provided that Boots can beat Stanionis. Or of course, if Brian can't get Boots in the ring for whatever reason, I know a Japanese fellow who don't train too far from where I'm at, named Jin Sasaki, who I really want to see Brian Norman fight, because I think, and I'm going to keep saying this anytime Brian Norman's name or Jin Sasaki's name comes up on my videos, I feel like Jin Sasaki and Brian Norman Jr. is one of the best fights in boxing from an entertainment standpoint. I feel like both of them can beat each other. I feel like they're both explosive. They're both equally flawed. They're both very flawed. So those make good fights. My guy Z Pacino says, how tough is Leo's next opponent? So his next opponent is Tomohiro Kameda. Kameda has over like, what is it, like I think he has like 43 or 44 pro fights. He was world champion like 10 years ago at bantamweight. We definitely should beat him. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Angel is gonna beat him, and that he should beat him in sensational fashion. But you could do a whole lot worse for your first title defense. If we're just comparing the other champions' first title defenses, right? Look at Espinoza, right? Everyone's going on about Espinoza and how he's this killer. And I like Rafael Espinoza, but his first title defense was against this Mexican named Sergio Trino Sanchez, who had already fought Mauricio Lara before he fought Espinoza and quit in that fight. That's who he fought for his first defense, and he knocked him out like 2 or 3 rounds. Not the top, not the creme de la creme. Then Nick Ball fought, his first title defense was against Ronnie Rios, who has seen better days, never won a world title, and lost every time he stepped up. So, yeah, man. I'm not gonna make Tomohiro Kameda out to be this killer, because I think he's not in his prime anymore. But he is a former world champion, and Angelo is coming here to Japan, a country he's never been to. And so that's always the thing to overcome for a fighter, whether you're a foreign fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter. Whether you're a foreign fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a foreign fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a foreign fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a, you know, a local fighter coming to an America, or whether you're a American fighter going to another country. Anytime you have to go to a different country you've never been to fight, there's always like you got to overcome not just the guy in the ring, but the culture, like learning the culture where you're at, getting comfortable, because there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that. Just like I know when I came to Japan the first time in 2023, I had anxiety coming here just because you don't know. It's the fear of the unknown, right? But he's gonna have to do that along with fighting Kameda, who's gonna be very determined. So we're expecting his best, but he's definitely gonna get our best, and I believe it will be another great performance from Angelo and a successful title defense. So yep. I think Maikwan, she says, true, I think Maikwan Williams is a talented welterweight coming up. Do you know much about him? I wouldn't say I know much about Maikwan Williams. I've seen him fight. I saw him fight, what was the guy's name? I saw him fight Luis Feliciano, a fighter by the name of Luis Feliciano on Pro Box. I think that was his name. From Luis Feliciano from Wisconsin, I think. Yeah, Wisconsin or Chicago or like somewhere in the Midwest. Maikwan schooled him, and Feliciano was, a decent little fighter, good pro. From what I remember about Maikwan Williams, very well schooled, good boxer, moves around really well, can sharpshoot, can counterpunch. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with his career right now. I don't know if he has a fight coming up, but he was the guy that when I watched him fight, I said to myself, you know what? This Maikwan Williams, he looks like a world level fighter, a guy that belongs in the top 15, a guy that belongs in these fights against other, guys in his weight class. So that's what I can say about him. How did Yi Jun Kim do better than Fulton against Inoue? Damn. Well, that's up for interpretation. I see what you're saying. Like, the fight didn't go as long. Inoue beat the brakes off Kim in like 4 rounds. But, Yi Jun Kim, I think he probably did land more critical. Like, he landed more impactful punches in the fight than Fulton did. Now, as soon as he landed anything impactful, Inoue said, that's it. We're out of here. Knocked him out. But that's actually a good debate. Who had the better performance? Fulton or Yi Jun Kim? Damn. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, Ball has fought substandard opposition as a champion. Yeah. Well, Frank Warren is just trying to keep Mick Ball with that title until he gets the big fight with Inoue. Maikwan Williams, back to the Maikwan Williams. Maikwan Williams is very good. And he's one of those fighters that he's not gonna get no shot at anybody until he's a mandatory, because he's high risk, low reward. Like, people in the boxing industry, like people like me, people like Pro Box, they know Maikwan Williams can fight. But the boxing public doesn't really know his name like that. And the thing is, unless it's a mandatory that's due, he's not gonna get that fight. He's not gonna get those big fights. I don't think. I don't wish bad on him. I would actually wish the best for him. I wish that he gets some notable fights so that people can see his skills and he can show who he is or who he isn't. But yeah, Kim was very aggressive. He was. BT, did Inoue's team ever send MJ a contract? People keep saying MJ ducked Inoue, chose to fight the Paulus instead, then he lost belts. Is this right? What do you know? As far as the contract, I don't know. I don't think there was any contracts ever sent. I don't really know. I can't say whether a contract was sent or not. I don't know that. I'm not gonna lie to you. But what I can say is that, he's been the mandatory for quite a long time now, and they haven't fought. So if he's the mandatory and there's never really been talks, because from what I do know is there hasn't really been much talks. I know Inoue's plan, if you just go back and you look at the history of my channel, if you look at any Hideki Ohashi interviews with it, because one thing about Japan, I'm gonna tell you guys this about Japanese culture. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it, but it's just part of the culture. They're very meticulous, like they're very much about appointments and having and being organized, right? When I go to do interviews with Japanese fighters, like nine times out of 10, I have to message these Japanese fighters or their teams, their coaches, whoever I know, and set up an appointment, not just days in advance, but probably, 5 to 6 days in advance, maybe a week. They're very much forward thinking. So I say this to say that if you haven't heard Hideki Ohashi, there's a chair over there. Let me go over there. If you haven't heard Hideki Ohashi mention MJ as part of the Inoue plan for all these different times they've talked about it, then no. It's safe to assume no, they haven't done that. Let me go sit down. Let me sit down. Okay. Live in the flesh, the realest boxing reporter. Oh my God, that's the man himself. Everyone in the comments, show your appreciation for the number 4 ranked WBA middleweight contender, the most underrated middleweight in boxing, one of the most underrated fighters in America, and someone that I think, people need to know who he is. Ian Green, what's good, Ian Green? Shout out to Ian Green, my guy. Live in the flesh, the realest boxing reporter actor today. That's right. Thank you, Ian. Ian Green says, "What's up, Michael? I'll be back soon, working on a." Oh wow, okay. So, I want to say this while Ian is here. You know what? Because I've been thinking this. I've been thinking about this to myself, but I haven't had time to make a video about it. So I'll talk about it now, and maybe Ian or someone can clip this if they want to. But on the PBC card this week, you got Yoannis Hernandez fighting the Cuban, and they just fast tracking him. He ain't really. Let's be real. If you go check under the hood of his resume and you look at the guys he's beat, he ain't really beat anybody worth talking about. He hasn't really beat anybody worth talking about. He's beaten club show fighters for the most part. In fact, his last fight, he beat Bryce Henry, who was 6-0. I know Bryce Henry. Bryce Henry's from South Florida. I saw Bryce fight in the amateurs. Bryce Henry is a club show fighter. And somehow that got Yoannis Hernandez to a WBA mandatory position over Ian Green. I think that's bullshit. I feel like, you know what? Ian Green's done more. He should be ranked higher. Why is Yoannis Hernandez getting all this special treatment? He's a good fighter. I like him. I just did a video about him recently. Yeah, I think it's bullshit. That's how boxing is. Everyone always I always hear for people in boxing that, that American fighters get all this privilege, right? But then when there's American fighters getting fucked or screwed, I'm not trying to curse, but when there's American fighters getting screwed, then everybody wants to be quiet about it. They don't want to talk. They don't want to ruffle no feathers. And one thing about me is I don't really care. I don't even care about ruffling feathers. They tried to make Yoannis Hernandez fight for the interim, but they rejected it. Who rejected it? Versus who? Yeah, man, I'm on the ugly side of the sport. Yeah, Ian Green is on the ugly side of the sport. I'm not gonna get into what I know, but I can confirm what he's saying. It's a lot of people always say that American fighters get all this privilege, and so some American fighters do get privilege. I'm not gonna say that doesn't exist. There are some divas in American boxing. There are some guys that get pampered and protected, but then there's plenty for every Shakur Stevenson you guys can name, or Keeshawn Davis, or Tank. There's 5 or 10 guys like Ian Green that are really good fighters that could probably win a title, but the politics are not in their favor, and they gotta always take they always gotta take fights for shit money. They gotta take fights that really don't do anything for their career, and people just be quiet about it. And then when people start talking about it, like me, then they're like, who is this guy? Who was he fought? Who is his resume? But then they don't want to give people a chance, and that's why fighters don't want to take tough fights. That's why fighters don't want to be in hard fights, because if they lose or they never heard of them, people don't want to give fighters a chance, and that's the problem I have. It's boxing fans and media too, you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't say you want the best fight the best, and then when guys take these tough fights and they start winning, or or you never heard of them, you don't even want to give them a chance. Anyway, shout out to Ian Green. Mercado versus Andy Hirooka will be interesting. That'd be a good fight. I like that fight. Very explosive fight. Andy Hirooka is a good, explosive southpaw puncher. He knows how to box. Mercado, very explosive, punches through the target. I think that's probably one of the most explosive fights you can make in the division. I interviewed Mercado and asked him about that fight, and he said he didn't really know. He was being honest. He didn't know a whole lot about Andy Hirooka outside of the Ismael Barroso fight, which honestly, Ismael Barroso is a fighter that most people in America just heard about when he fought Rolly. Like he's been around for a while, but most people didn't hear about Barroso until he fought Rolly. Z Pacino says we need an even playing field so the guys that are less known can prove themselves and get the same opportunities as the well-known guys. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Boxing needs more tournaments. I feel like boxing needs more tournaments, and I feel like there should be some sort of like bi-yearly tournament. Maybe in boxing, like imagine, right? Just imagine. Let me just put my creative hat on here for a second. Imagine a world where we had a bi-yearly tournament in certain weight classes. So for example, let's just say every 2 years at super bantamweight, there would have to be a tournament. So like Inoue, who's a champion, if he wanted to stay in the weight class, he'd have to fight in the tournament or vacate. I feel like boxing would move in a much more fluid manner if we could organize a bi-yearly tournament, not every year, but every 2 years, a bi-yearly tournament where even the big names have to spar, or not spar, have to fight, and then that would give the guys in the rankings who people don't know about a chance to prove themselves. And then if those guys fight well enough and the fights are entertaining or they win, then you have fighters whose market value gets driven up, and then you have a healthier sport. But that won't happen. I don't think that will happen. It's just something that I wish could happen. Ian Green says, anyway, keep being great, man. You always have my support. Thank you, man. I'm going to keep being great, and I'm looking forward to one day when you fight for the world title, Because you got to understand, like, when it comes to Ian Green, I would, like, cover these Don King shows, and I love covering Don King shows because, like, it's not, like, a lot of media there. But, like, he made these Don King shows fun for me, so, like, that's why I like covering them and talking about them. And it's kind of fun. Like, it's kind of fun. It's fun when people start dick riding Johnny Beck, talking about how great Johnny Beck is. I say, nah, man, he need to fight Ian Green, and then they get all mad. It's fun to say. It's just fun. Barroso was a contender almost a decade ago. Yeah. Funny story about Barroso. I'll tell you guys a funny story. So there's a guy that no longer works in boxing that I was really close with about 8 years ago. He sells like watches now. His name is Cliff Mass. And Cliff, he used to work for Greg Cohen Promotions. And I remember being at Crawford versus Hank Lundy, and he was talking about what was he talking about? He was talking about Barroso against Terrence Crawford. He's like, yeah, man, Ismael Barroso versus Terrence Crawford is the fight to make. I vividly remember him telling me this at the theater at Madison Square Garden at Hank Lundy versus Terrence Crawford. He was talking to me about Terrence Crawford versus Barroso. He's been around that long, but people didn't really start to take notice of him until he fought Rolly and then knocked out O'Hara Davies. It's not like Johnny Beck's opponents are actually better than Ian Green. They're not. I can tell you for sure they're not. Ian Green would absolutely beat the dog shit out of Andre Mikhailovich. Mikhailovich who just fought Johnny Beck. So he's like I don't want to put him down. I'm trying to not like be like boxing fans, but his skills are not up to par. I'll say it like that. I won't say he's trash, but I'll just say his skills for a guy who got a world title shot are not befitting of a top tier world title challenger. I feel like he should get his shot. And I can tell you guys from experience, from being at the WBA convention in 2023 and talking to sanctioning by people and presidents and committee people, that he's not on the right side of politics. Barroso got frozen out after he upset Ulysses. Yeah, And you know what's crazy about boxing? This is another side of boxing that people don't talk about, is that you guys have to understand, promoters, when they're building a prospect, they're putting up X amount of dollars, 6 figures, sometimes 7 figures if the fighter was like a top Olympian or gold medalist or anything like that. So if a fighter who really isn't supposed to do anything in boxing beats their $7 million or 7-figure investment, then there are times where promoters will blackball and they will make calls to sanctioning body people to keep certain fighters from getting favorable opportunities. So, for example, I'll give you guys an example. I'll give you guys a perfect example, and I know this from knowing this person personally. Adrian Granados was supposed to be a stay busy fight for Amir Imam in 2015, right? Amir Imam at the time was a top prospect, you know, contender, lower top 10 contender, a fighter that Don King had a lot of money invested into. He even said that Amir Imam was the next Felix Trinidad, right? So Amir Imam was supposed to fight Victor Postal for the WBC title, right? Amir Imam winds up taking a stay busy fight against Adrian Granados. Amir Imam loses to Adrian Granados, right? So you would think that Adrian Granados who beats Amir Imam would get the Postal fight or would get a shot at the title. I can't remember if it was Postal or Provodnikov or whoever it was that held the title, but anyway, he never gets, Granados beats one of the best hot properties at 140. He never gets any offers to fight for the world title at 140. Every offer he gets from that point forward is at 147 to be the opponent to, to be the opponent to like guys like Danny Garcia, which he took, Adrian Broner, which he took. So he made a lot of money. He probably made more money, you know, being an opponent than he would have been as a champion at 140, but he never really got a chance to get his title shot that he earned at 140. And it was because the powers that be put in calls to not allow him to fight for that title. And then Jose Ramirez, what was it like? 2 years later, 2.5 years later, Jose Ramirez 2.5 years later fights the same Amir Imam for that same WBC title Granados should have fought for. So that's how dirty the boxing game is, you know? And people only know what they see or what the promoters feed them. But I actually know like a lot of the stuff that you guys don't see. And I'm actually the only person in boxing media who's not afraid to talk about this stuff. Because truth be told, and I've said this many times and I'll say it again, and it's not a matter of like not valuing my life, but I don't care if I live or if I die. I lived a great life. My responsibility is to the truth and to tell the truth, and I can live with that, you know. Any thoughts on Kenshiro versus Seigo Yuri in March? That is one of the best top 5 fights in all of boxing, and that is 1,000% the most significant fight in Japanese boxing this year. You know, you got Kenshiro, who, in my opinion, without this fight, Kenshiro, in my opinion, is a Hall of Fame fighter. He should already be considered a Hall of Fame fighter when you consider the fact that he's one of the most dominant light flyweights in history. He's now a 2-division champion. He's sporting a knockout percentage of, what is it, like plus 60%, maybe even, I might even be above 65%. He is one of the hardest punching fighters, sub featherweight, in the history of boxing. And he's been one of the most consistent for a long period of time. I believe he has the 5th or 6th most career world title defenses amongst active fighters. So to me, he's already a Hall of Famer. But if he beats Seigo Yuri, that just further cements it for me, because Seigo Yuri is a top fighter who's in his prime, who's got his best boxing in front of him. And this is a true Japanese legacy fight. And here's a hot take. Here's a conversation that a lot of people aren't ready to have, but I'll be ready to have it. We hear all this stuff about how Naoya Inoue is the best fighter in Japan, and he is like the most accomplished fighter in Japan, and he probably is maybe the best Japanese fighter of all time. But over the last 3 years, right? Over the last 3 years, so I'll say from 2022 to right now here in 2025, Kenshiro has taken on tougher competition than Naoya Inoue. He's fighting better people than Naoya Inoue. He's in more significant fights than Naoya Inoue. He's actually been in more Japanese legacy fights than Naoya Inoue. So who's really challenging themselves? Who's really taking on the top competition? It's Kenshiro. That's the truth. Hiroto Kawaguchi was a legacy fight. They're both undefeated. You know, he beat the brakes off him. Now he's fighting Seigo Yuri in another legacy fight, you know. So, and then in between that, he still fought, you know, former champions like Hecky Butler. He had the fight with Anthony Olascuaga, who's went on to become a champion. He had the fight with Carlos Canizales, who was a top contender, and people look at it as an uncrowned champion. So, I'm just saying, man, people need to start putting respect on Kenshiro's fucking name. I'm tired of when I hear these discussions about Japanese boxing. People keep running their mouth about Junto. Like, I like Junto, but I'm saying they keep running their mouth about Inoue and Junto and Kazuto Ioka. I mean, come on, man. Kazuto Ioka is a great fighter, but Kazuto Ioka ain't better than Kenshiro. Come on, this dude had draws. Dude had draws with like lesser fighters. Kenshiro has beaten up everybody he ever fought. Everybody he ever fought in boxing, any loss he had, he avenged it. Like, I don't got Ioka's resume in front of me, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have a draw with like Don Nietes or something like that? Oh no, not Don Nietes. It was Joshua Franco. Yeah, he had a draw with Joshua Franco. Kenshiro would never have a draw or lose to somebody the caliber of a Joshua Franco. Never, sir. So it's like, I hear all these fighters. I mean, I understand Inoue because Inoue has more accomplishments and he's had a better career overall. He's the face of boxing in Japan, so he's number one. But after that, like, Junto don't have the resume Kenshiro got, and Ioka is not as dominant of a fighter as Kenshiro. So to me, it's not even close. Kenshiro is clear-cut number 2 best fighter in Japan. Vivi says, Akui has been underrated for a minute. People have been hyping up Ibuki while nobody saw Akui running through him. Yeah, I mean, I watched that fight for the first time probably like 2 months ago, because I had seen it on Boxrec, but I just never watched it. Yeah, man, it's like Masamichi Ibuki knocked out Kenshiro, right? When they fought the first time. Masamichi Ibuki then knocked out Nochinga, who was a top fighter in the weight class. Masamichi Ibuki is one of the hardest punchers in Japan, and Seigo Yuri treated him like a piece of trash and knocked him out in 2 rounds like he was nothing. And that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Masamichi Ibuki is definitely a something, you know, a big something, a dangerous something. Do I think Cuellar is ready for Nakatani? Truthfully, probably not. He doesn't have the experience, but he's got a good style. I think he's got a good, intelligent Mexican pressure style. He can punch. Sometimes in boxing, you just got to rise to the occasion, you know? You may not have all the experience on paper, but you have, you know, you have to have that mental fortitude to rise to the occasion, to fight at a level you never fought at. I know all about it. I seen Angelo do it when he fought Bernardo, you know? Johnny Beck is a very left-hand dominant. His opponent should really study his patterns in the ring. Someone like Hopkins would have definitely, yeah. Oh my God. Hopkins would have put Johnny Beck in a blender. Look at when he fought Denzel Bentley. When he fought Bentley, right? I don't consider, like, I like Bentley. I consider Denzel Bentley to be a fringe war level fighter, right? A fighter that's good, a fighter that's definitely fun to watch, but he's not no high level world level. He's barely a top 15 fighter, British champion. He literally smothered Johnny Beck and just took the fight to him in the second half and had a bunch of success. So I can look at that fight and I can already envision what Bernard Hopkins would do to him. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable, True School Sports Empire. I'm here. They over here feeding the birds. Vivi says Johnny Beck was inexperienced at the time he fought Alexander. He gave Johnny Beck all he could handle because he was a plan A type of guy with no second or third option. Yeah, that fight was very early in his career, but yeah, it was very early in his career. So I won't fault Johnny Beck too much for that. But yeah, like, I feel like the blueprint is there. Vaughn laid it out. Denzel Bentley laid it out. It's just that, like, all the right guys at middleweight gonna get their chance to beat Johnny Beck. Like, to me, at middleweight, the toughest fight for Johnny Beck would probably be in no particular order. I'd probably say Hamza Shiraz. I would say Ian Green, and I would say Yoenis Hernandez. Those are the 3 guys I could see giving Johnny Beck the most trouble at 160. But You know, Hamza Shiraz, they haven't got that fight done yet. Ian Green is not on the right side of politics right now. And maybe Yoannis Hernandez gets that shot because he's fighting for the WBA mandatory spot this weekend. So maybe, but let me go walk. Because we're like hour and 10 minutes in. I don't know if I'll go 2 hours, but you know, we're here. We're here in Japan. Let me give you guys some views, some aesthetics, because you guys always say, I remember last time I came here, people were like, BT didn't show us no Japanese culture. We wanted to see him eating ramen. We wanted to see him doing this and doing that. Well, here you go. Here's some culture for you guys. Look. So this is Sumida City, Tokyo. This is a panoramic view, right there. They got the river running through there. Yeah. Japanese aesthetics for you guys. Boom. Shout out to my main man, 50 grand, Hiro Ogawa. He says, Kenshiro is pound for pound. The fact that Bam is pound for pound is ridiculous because Bam never unified or sells tickets like Kenshiro. Fighting at the Tech Port is like fighting at Cork and Hall. You might got a point, but I would say you got to give the edge to Cork and Hall over the Tech Port because the Cork and Hall is a lot more prestigious than Tech Port Arena. With all due respect to Tech Port Arena in San Antonio, Cork and Hall is the home of Japanese boxing. Cork and Hall is where Joe Frazier won the 1964 gold medal for the USA in the Olympics. I high-key think Keeshawn Davis could give Johnny Beck a few. Maybe he could. You know, if he could take the power, that'd be the only question. You know, Keeshawn Davis is very crafty. Even I'm not gonna lie, I underrated Keeshawn Davis because I did not think he was gonna beat Elijah Garcia. I thought Elijah Garcia was a little better than he's proven to be. You know, Keeshawn Davis proved me that I didn't know. He wasn't who I thought he was. You know, and that's okay. But yeah, that'd be a good fight. Hannah, she said, BT, why isn't Chocolatito versus Kafu announced yet? It's been over a month. Call your contact. Yeah, I might have to call. That's what the Nicaraguan newspapers were reporting, that he was going to fight Kafu. You know what's crazy? In fact, I know just the person. I know Kafu's manager. Kafu's manager is also the same manager of Yi Jun Kim, and I met him during Inoue Fight Week, and he's a pretty cool guy. His name is Mike Altamara. So I might have to ask him if there's any truth to that Kafu fight. You know, because he manages Kafu, he manages Yi Jun Kim, and he manages the IBF bantamweight champion Ryosuke Nishida. So he got some good fighters. Got some good notable fighters. You know, he used to manage Isaac, or I think he still manages Isaac Dogbe. All right, let's go by the river. Let's go by the water. Keeshawn Davis is with PBC. If it was just a rumor, tell him to make the fight, BT. I mean, I could suggest it. I'll tell him, but, you know, they ain't gonna listen to me. True, not sure if you're in the fantasy matchups, but who do you got between Mark Too Sharp Johnson versus Inoue? I did a whole video about that. You didn't see that? You didn't see that video? I dropped the whole video on that like a year ago. I don't remember. I have no clue what I said in that video. I'm not sure if I picked Inoue or Mark Too Sharp Johnson, but I remember doing the video. Shit, right now? Yeah, let me see. Because Mark was what? Mark was at 112? Well, they fight out flyweight. I think Mark Too Sharp Johnson will beat Inoue. Straight up. I think Mark Too Sharp Johnson would have beat Inoue at 112. Inoue wasn't experienced enough at 112. And Inoue has all this power, right? Like, but that wouldn't be enough for Mark Too Sharp Johnson. Mark Too Sharp Johnson had power too. And it's crazy, right? Because all these like fighters, like all these black American fighters that say they're slick and got all these skills. No, Mark Too Sharp Johnson was slick and had all those skills. You're not Mark Too Sharp Johnson. The only American fighter right now in boxing that even has a skill set close to what resembles Mark Too Sharp Johnson is Tank. That's it. And that makes a lot of sense because they're from the same area, DC. Mark Too Sharp Johnson If Mark Tuchel Johnson at flyweight fights the Inoue at flyweight, I think Mark Tuchel Johnson puts that Inoue in a blender and beats him. Now, obviously, they fight, because if I'm not mistaken, Mark Tuchel Johnson later on in his career, he fought, what's that Mexican's name? What's that Mexican's name he fought? He fought this Mexican, and I can't remember his name right now. Was it Jorge Arce? I can't remember if it was Jorge Arce or who it was, but Mark Tuchel Johnson, at the end of his career, pretty sure he was brought up in weight, and he fought this Mexican. It might have been Jorge Arce, and beat the brakes off of him. Like, literally beat the brakes off of him. I mean, listen, Kofu versus Cholatito is a good fight, but as the president of the American chapter of the Cholatito fan club, look, man, I really want to see Roman Gonzalez go to 118 and try to become a 5 division champion. That's what I want to see. I don't really care for him to fight Kofu. With all respect to Kofu, I like Kofu. I'm happy that Africa has produced another world champion, because you guys know, I always tell you guys that the fighters in boxing that have the most to overcome as far as odds and circumstances are African fighters. So when you see an African fighter break through and become a world champion, that's the realest shit in boxing, you know, because they really have everything against them. Everyone likes to act like, a lot of our American fighters like to act like they got everything against them. Some of the Mexican fighters like to act like they got everything against them. And yeah, sure, they got some obstacles, but the African fighters, they got it the worst in boxing. They got it the hardest. So when they become champion, you just gotta respect it. So I'm happy they got one, but yeah. But I'd rather see Roman Gonzalez try to become a 5 division champion, because to me that's more historical. And I think Cholatito can beat I think Cholatito can beat like Yoshiki Takei or Nishida. He could beat one of those guys. Cholatito misses opportunity. He should have fought Takuma. Cholatito loses to the other current champions. Yeah, I think it's a little harder now. I think Takuma would have been the easiest opponent for him. But like, yeah, Seiya Tsutsumi wouldn't be a fight I would advise him to take. I actually just seen Seiya Tsutsumi spar yesterday here in Japan. I saw Seiya Tsutsumi do 6 rounds of sparring with Saul Sanchez. Man, great work. You want to talk about some world-class sparring? I seen some world-class sparring yesterday. Saul Sanchez and Seiya Tsutsumi was like, I saw them do 6 rounds yesterday. Crazy. And the crazy thing is, I actually I met Takuma at the Inoue fight. Takuma kind of big timed me. That was interesting. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, I got big time by Takuma Inoue. Montiel, yes, Montiel. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Mark Tuchel Johnson got brought in to lose at the end of his career against a young Fernando Montiel and put him in a fucking blender. That was a great performance. These guys are not like Mark Tuchel Johnson. Cholatito was washed now. He's not what he used to be, but I mean, he had one fight last year, and he still looked pretty good. His skills, like his parrying skills, his inside fighting skills are still there. Just longer to get started now, but he's still really, really good. I think he's got one more left in him, and I would like to see that one more great performance be at 118. I at least want to see him try. Like, I don't even care if he loses. If he at least just tries to become a 5 division champion, I'll be happy that he just tried. I think Takei would be a tough fight for him simply because of his age and wear and tear versus an orthodox guy that hits hard and likes to scrap. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, Roman Gonzalez he shouldn't even be boxing right now. Let's be real. Like, most guys in these weight classes, you talk about 30 years old, 32, 33, that's it, you're done. This guy is 36, 37, still going strong, still, a really good fighter at his weight. That doesn't happen. It never happens. So that's an accomplishment within itself. Afro Jam mentioned the fact that Yoshiki Takei has poor defense. It's piss poor. Jason Maloney was losing the fight, getting his ass kicked for about 8 to 9 rounds. About 8 rounds. And he literally destroyed Takei in the back half of the fight. because of the fact that Takei's defense is so bad. Now, AKH Boxing says, Inoue never fought at flyweight. Thank you for the correction. He never fought at flyweight because he didn't want to go there because that's where Roman Gonzalez was. He was at 108. He skipped 112, which is where Roman Gonzalez is at, so he can go to 115 and fight Omar Narvaez because he was too inexperienced for Roman Gonzalez at that point. So they strategically moved him from 108 to 115 because Chocolatito was at the peak of his powers. And at that point in time, and people don't want to hear it, but if they would have fought anywhere close to that point in time, Roman Gonzalez would have beat the brakes off in a way. He wasn't ready for that kind of fight. They made the right move from a managerial standpoint. More people are talking about this PBC card than the Turkey card. Honestly, this proves that people care about boxing in America. I agree. Everyone talks about how much they love the Turkey card, but when I go on YouTube, I don't really see people talking about Joseph Parker Dubois. I don't see people talking about Better BF. I don't see people talking about those fights as much. I hear them talking about Benavidez. I hear them moaning about Tank. So people say one thing, but you know, is PBC really that bad? If that's all I talk about, I'm not so sure. Hockey wants to know what happened with me and Takuma Inoue. Nothing like that bad. Basically, what happened was after the fight was done with Inoue and Yi Jun Kim, I went and I stood by the locker room because I was trying to see if I could get in. And I noticed Takuma Inoue kept coming in and out the locker room, and like I couldn't believe it. Nobody cared about Takuma Inoue. Like he was just walking freely, no security, nobody bothering him. He's having conversations with people, and I was like, wow, okay. Nobody really cares about Takuma Inoue. So normally when I meet these fighters or I meet like or I meet fans of the channel, I like to do like little clips. Like I'll say like, hey, it's your boy BT. I'm with whoever, and just talk for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then I just put it on my shorts. It's good for documentation purposes. They're fun. So I went on my Japanese translating app, and I basically just told Takuma that been covering his career for some time. I like him as a fighter. Could I get like a short 10-second clip of me just interacting with him or talking with him, whatever? And then he looked at me. He looked at me funny. He didn't really say anything to me. He looked at me funny. And then like his family, somebody from his family had to ask for a picture, and then he went off with them, and he never came back to answer my question. So I didn't make a big deal about it, but it happened. So yeah, I got big time by Takuma Inoue in Japan. Who do you got in the Satsumi versus Higa fight? Ooh, good fight. I'm gonna go with my boy Seiya. You know, Daigo Higa is gonna come to fight. One thing about Seiya, man, like he don't got the best defense. You could hit him. I feel like with a guy like Seiya, you have to hurt this guy or stop him in the first 4 rounds. First 4 to 5 rounds. If you don't hurt him, get his respect in the first 4 rounds, you're screwed. You lose. Because this dude just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And the thing is, he's like deceptively crafty. Like Seiya Satsumi, he does a lot of shifting. Like he can box southpaw, he can box orthodox. Very hard guy. Very, 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 very hard guy to deal with for 12 rounds. So I know they had to draw the first fight, but I'll go with Seiya in a close decision. Again, another close fight with Seiya wins this time. I think Seiya's gotten better since that fight. He's got big fights on the horizon. Like he knows he needs to win this fight, because if he wins this fight, maybe he fights Tenshin next. You know what? I didn't even tell you guys this yesterday. I actually had a chance to talk to Seiya a little bit, because I went to the gym to go interview Saul Sanchez, and I gotta drop that interview soon too. So I got Seiya Satsumi. I got another Seiya Satsumi interview coming out, and I got a Saul Sanchez interview coming out. And the Saul Sanchez interview, in my opinion, is like one of my best interviews I ever did. I actually think it's one of my best interviews I've ever done. I'd put it in the top like 25, 30 interviews I ever did, because Saul Sanchez is one of these guys that doesn't really talk, but you know, he's someone that I got to really open up, and he shared some really deep and vulnerable things about his life and his career, and what he's went through. So I really enjoyed my time with him yesterday. But like Seiya, when I was talking to him, he knows that he can't. He knows that if he wins this fight against Daigo Higa, he's probably gonna get tension, and he believes that he's gonna beat tension. And you know, you'll see what he said when I drop it. So I had that kind of moment with Vernon Forrest at Foxwoods as he was going upstairs. Yeah, look, these guys are all people. You know, I don't take it that big. It's not that big of a deal. Takuma could have been having a bad day. Who knows? I'm just telling you what happened. Winky Wright was the coolest fighter though I ever met. Winky Wright is very cool. I met Winky Wright one time. He's a very cool guy. I'm glad Seiya beat Takuma, hearing how he treated you that way. Yeah, I mean, look, he don't know me from nowhere. I was happy that Seiya Sutsui beat Takuma Inoue because the brother Naoya, he was telling Junto to go fight his brother when his brother had a fight signed with Sutsumi. So I felt like they were all overlooking. I feel like they were overlooking Seiya Sutsumi, which was the stupidest thing they could ever do. That's one fighter. I'd say if there's a fighter from Japan, you should never overlook just because of how hard of a fighter he is and how difficult he is to handle for 12 rounds. That's one of them. Hell no. Adam Azim back out if he smashed Lipinets. What does it say about him? What you say he canceled the fight? Naoya and Junto are both moving on some soft stuff right now. I agree. I actually agree. I know, like, those are the two golden boys of Japanese boxing, and those are the two fighters that have a lot of fans here on YouTube. But I don't give a damn about none of that shit. I'm just gonna tell y'all the truth. Naoya is getting a pass for a lot of things right now. He's taking his sweet time going to featherweight. You know, I don't even like Merjan, but he does have that mandatory due, so he does got to fight him soon if he does want to stay at 122 and take his sweet time going up to featherweight. Junto, you know, it's like every time I say that Junto should unify the division or fight one of the other champions, it's like people got a problem with it. Man, I don't see what's so bad about him wanting to fight, needing to fight Seiya Sutsumi. You know, they always say that Angelo Leo and Rafael Espinoza and Nick Ball and Fulton or Figueroa, they all need to unify. But when that same energy is applied to Junto Nakatani, people have a problem with it. Nah, man, keep that same energy. BT, we gotta stop believing Twitter accounts. They say so is because they say Canelo's not fighting on PBC and Canelo's next fight is on PBC. Yeah, Canelo's still a PBC fighter. I agree. Sutsumi is cool. I bet on him, but he's following the rest of the bantamweight champions and championing other Japanese fighters and not unifying. Well, he just won the belt, so I give Sutsumi a one fight grace period. I feel like he just won the belt. He's fighting a guy he actually didn't even beat. He's fighting a guy he had a draw with. So that's not a cherry pick. If you're fighting a guy you had a draw with, that's not a cherry pick. We'll see. We'll see how he moves. In a way, soft, bro, I think you're forgetting that he's fighting 4 times a year. I mean, that's cool. I'm happy. I'm glad he's staying active. But he ain't exactly fighting like let's be real. Like, and I'm not even just saying this for Inoue. I'm saying this for Junto as well. They're not fighting the competition Kenshiro's fighting. Kenshiro's fighting better competition than both those guys. He's been in more Japanese legacy fights than both those guys. Like, you can if you can just remove your feelings for a second and just look at the moves they're making. All the moves that Junto and Inoue are making are deliberately to try to do their fight together. And it's at the expense of other fighters in and around their weight classes. That's the truth. Will Seiya or Nishida fight Junto next? I'm not sure about it. I think Junto wants unification more than them. I don't think Seiya will fight Junto. I don't think Seiya's I believe if the fight was presented to Seiya like today, he'd fight Junto, but I don't think he's gonna fight him next. That's just my opinion, and I have good reason to believe that. As far as Nishida, I think Nishida would fight Junto. I'm gonna ask. I know Nishida's manager, so I don't have to wonder. I could actually go right to the source. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask for you guys. Because I know Nishida's manager. If Nick Ball doesn't fight Mirko Quail after Doheny, that's a duck because that dude had 2 voluntary defenses against washed up 122 pounders. That's true. Nick Ball gotta listen. If Mirko Quail handles business and becomes mandatory this weekend, we're gonna start getting really loud and ignorant here on True School Sports. Yes, we're gonna get real loud and ignorant here on True School Sports because he gotta fight Mirko Quail. I don't want to hear about him fighting Inoue. He fought Ronnie Rios and he fought Doheny, two non-featherweights to defend the belt. So I don't want to hear about Inoue. He gotta fight as mandatory. Why would Junto fight the other champs? It misses because they're all from Japan. How about that? Let's start with the fact that every fighter in the weight class is Japanese. All of them are. Tsutsumi, Nishida, Takei, and then the thing is, you even got Tenshin, who's a contender, who's a big ticket seller. Like he could build more value in himself fighting the other champions before he fights Inoue. Because everyone acts like it's some sort of foregone conclusion that he's gonna beat all the 122, the 118 pounders. I don't think so. Even Inoue, right? Like, even Inoue, right? You guys love to talk about what Inoue says and doesn't say, right? Inoue said Junto should go unify. So now you guys don't care about what Inoue says? You guys always care about what Inoue says. Now you don't care about what Inoue says? Mirko Quail shot has been overdue. If you ask me, PBC should pull the plug on Quail being Fulton's comeback fight. Oh, man. Was that a thing? There's no way in hell that was a thing. Because I don't remember hearing anything about Fulton versus Quail. But that would have been hellacious. I think Quail, I think Quail might have got Fulton out of there. They would have fought, to be honest. RPG says some people don't understand that. Some people don't even know what mandatory means. Listen, 99.9% of the boxing world can't even tell you why the concept of a mandatory was created, who created it, and what it was created for. No, I don't know. I haven't met one person. I know the reasons why. I know who created the mandatory system or the mandatory rule, but most people don't. The mandatory was created. The concept of a mandatory was created like decades ago by the WBC, and it was to give fighters who don't have the resources or the backing a more even playing field to get a shot at a world title. So if you're some fighter from Africa or South Korea or Argentina, where there's not tons of opportunities in boxing, if you become a mandatory challenger, you can eventually get your shot at one day at the champ. That's the whole point of it. And when you start allowing fighters to duck mandatories, you are compromising any sort of competitive integrity you have left in boxing. And if there's one thing that I'm always gonna fight for, I don't give a fuck who it is. Inoue, Angelo, Benavidez, Beterbiev, whoever it is. Listen, mandatories need to be respected and honored. Junto wants to unify, but needs the other champs to step the ring. Takei has an injury now. Well, I agree. I think right now the fighter that would probably be the easiest fighter to unify with is Nishida. Nishida right now doesn't have anything lined up. Nishida is a big guy for the weight class. I think Nishida and Junto should get done next for the IBF and the WBC titles. And then maybe after that, Tsutsumi. The winner that can fight Tsutsumi. Sliding Counter says, I remember the NABF and USBA organizations, they gave you the tough route to mandatory back in the day. Now it seems more fighters are jumping the line. Well, yeah, now the NABA title in America is not really something that is valued. That's been compromised as well. So we don't really have that. That's why a lot of these, especially our fighters in America, they don't have that. They don't have that to deal with. Wow, okay. She was bad. My bad, guys. I got sidetracked. That was a beautiful Japanese woman. I saw Chihuahuas and RG Cortez give Nakatani fits boxing at mid-range and on the inside. Nishida can beat him. Nishida can beat him. Nishida can definitely beat uh, Junto. He has the size and the boxing skills to do it. Um, I would like to see Tsutsumi fight Junto, but that's the fight for me. I'm a big Seiya Tsutsumi fan, so. The rumor is so far, Picasso's in the USA, MJ in Saudi, and then Junto in Japan. However, I don't ever see Inoue fighting Junto. Honestly, I'm just gonna wait and see. I'm not gonna stress myself out over what they're gonna do. I know who they're not gonna fight. I could say I know who they're not gonna fight. So, I just wait and see and take it for what it is. Take it for what it is, and then enjoy the fights when they happen. Yeah, wow. Nishida got no pop. That's not true. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts, but he has pop. He can. Have you ever seen Nishida throw punches to the body? He's got some pop down there. He knows how to place. He knows how to place that shot to the body. Who aren't they going to fight? Inoue anybody who Ohashi has not named in his recent 3-fight plan, that's when they're not gonna fight. So I don't gotta. If you read what the outline is, that he's not gonna fight the only featherweight champion he's gonna fight is Nick Ball, and that makes the most sense. He's the weakest champion in the division. He's the smallest, and he punches the lightest out of all of them. So it'll give Inoue a chance to pick up a title, dip his toe in the water, and get used to championship boxing at featherweight. But yeah, anybody that Ohashi did not name in the article, they're not fighting them. Yeah, VV 126 is a gauntlet, and that gauntlet's only hitting up with the likes of Quayle getting in the mix and Vargas. Oh my God, listen. And then if I don't know if Otabek Komotov can still make featherweight healthily, you gotta throw him in the mix. Oh my God, featherweight is just ridiculous. Featherweight is like the craziest. Rais Salim is there. He's a solid fighter. Like featherweight, listen. To be a champion at featherweight, just even if you got to give respect to the guys like Espinoza, Ball, Figueroa, I guess. Maybe not so much Figueroa because he got elevated. He has to prove himself this weekend. But like Espinoza, Ball, and Leo, give those three guys their due. This division is hard to win a title in, and they all did it. You know, Ruben Villa on his day, like Vivi said, on his day. Ruben Villa is a very, very tough fighter to deal with. Sulu Montagawa, another tough guy to deal with. Even some of the more unheralded guys. Jong Sung Kang from South Korea, good counterpuncher. Kenji Fujita, strong, or not strong, but like very crafty southpaw from Japan. Mikita Nakano, dynamite puncher from Japan. IBF. Kayasuke Matsumoto, strong, big, power jab at featherweight, another one. I mean, Rhea Abbey. I mean, just the Japanese featherweights. I mean, you got like 7 Japanese featherweights that got something to say in the division. What do I think of Ramos versus Rosario? Was Chiro Perez the best Rosario, even though it was only one fight? Rosario and Chiro Perez were together for like 8 or 9 fights. What are you talking about? Chiro Perez made Jason Rosario, who he was in boxing. But as far as Ramos versus whatchamacallit? What's his name? Ramos Rosario is a good fight. I guess. You know, Rosario's. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a good fight though, cause like Rosario don't got no durability. Like, he's been knocked out like 4 times. He's not really a 60-pounder. He hasn't been active. I think, yeah, nah, man. Ramos should run through him. It ain't a good fight. Who am I kidding? I like Rosario, but Ramos should run through Rosario. And if Ramos doesn't run through Rosario, I'm going to have some questions about Ramos at this point. Remember, I thought Agbeka would be a fight for Morell. I do. Yeah, because Agbeka had just upset Isaiah Steen, who was a highly rated prospect on Showbox. Yeah, I mean, It wasn't a competitive fight, but I mean, I don't want to open up the can of worms, but there was a whole lot of foul play that was alleged was going on. When Morell fights in Minnesota, he seems to be a little more explosive, and I'll leave it at that. Um, Leonard Sarcone is 24 years old. South. Yes, Leonard Sarcone is a very good fighter. He's kind of campaigning between 122 and featherweight right now. But I think Leonard Sarcone, when he gets to featherweight, another guy to worry about. I mean, it's just like even the guy at featherweight, even the guys that don't even have big names can fight. Even the guys from the countries that don't even produce boxers can fight. It is the smoke show. The featherweight is the real smoke show. And my thing is like when it comes to Inoue, all respect to him, but like 118 when he got there was not a deep weight class. 122 when he got there had some good fights at the top, but it was not a deep weight class. The only weight class that Inoue fought in his whole career that was really like deep was super flyweight when he was there. And he didn't fight Roman Gonzalez, Rungvisai, Quadras, Ioka, the top, all those top guys there. So to me, this is the deepest weight class he's fought in since 115. R. Smith says, great channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here. You guys making my day brighter. You guys making it better as I'm sitting here by the river. Just making time pass. There was this Japanese, I was sitting here talking and there was this photographer and like one of the most beautiful Japanese women I've seen since I've been here. She just walked by me. I got mesmerized for a second. I don't get mesmerized. That was pretty crazy. Is Angelo Leo planning to go to 130 in the future? If so, how long do you think it'll take? 1,000%. That is definitely one of the goals that Angelo has set for himself and that we as a team have. I don't want to put a time limit on it, but I would say if I had to take an educated guess, I would say Angelo's got 4 to 5 fights left at featherweight. So, unless he goes undisputed before like the next 4 or 5 fights, I would say he'll be at featherweight, for the next 2 years. At least the next 2 years. Raymond Ford versus Tank is a good fight. I told you a week before their altercation on Twitter, Ford won't look like a puncher when he fights Tank at 135. Tank beats all them guys at 130. Hey, Hyro told me the other day. You know what he said? Hyro said the other day when I was talking to him. He said, Gervonta Davis is the best 130 pounder in the world, and he's not even at 130. And it's the truth. Everyone keeps saying, Navarrete is the best 130 pounder. Lamont Roach is the best 130 pounder. Sugar Nunez is the best 130 pounder. Yeah, I think Tank ain't even at 135. He's still he's not even at 130, and he's still the best 130 pounder because he's still fighting 130 pounders. They always try to suck me in with the beef at the yeah. It always happens in boxing. They always get you. That's why for me, like when I cover those big Vegas fights, I don't really get excited till the press conference. If it's 2 fighters, I know that talk shit. I don't even get excited at the press conference because I want to see some trash talk. Mark said, so Leo's planning around 10 fights at 126 altogether. I mean, it's not a specific number. I'm just telling you what I think. I'm making an educated guess. I know right now from being around him, I was around him for the Venado camp. I know that he had a very easy weight cut. He makes 126 very easily, very strong, and he retained a lot of his energy. So I don't see why he can't do anywhere from 3 to at least 4 to 6 more fights at featherweight, no matter who it's against. So yeah, I would say his featherweight debut was Polanco, then he fought Baez. Polanco, Polania, Baez, Venado. And now he's fighting. So Kameda will be the 5th fight at featherweight. If he does, let's just say, including this fight, if he does 3 more, that would be like what? 7. I'm saying he's probably going to do like 7 to 10 fights at featherweight. So he's at 4 right now. So anywhere from 7 to 10. No, you can't. Listen, that's the other thing about guys like Tank and Inoue. It's like people want these guys to fight everyone. It's hard to fight everyone. There's a lot of good fighters, so you can't fight everyone in boxing. It's hard. I agree with that. You can't fight everyone, but you can try. Sliding Counter says, this has been the best featherweight division I've seen since the era of Garcia, Gamboa, Lopez, Marquez, Salido, Caballero, and John. So, Mikey Garcia, Yukiyoshi Gamboa, what's that guy's name? Lopez. Why am I blanking out right now? The Puerto Rican. What's his name? Him, Marquez, Orlando Salido. Was it Chris John and Randy Caballero? Or Wama, there you go, Wama. I kept saying Wama, yeah. Wama was good. Wama Lopez was good. Nah, it's an amazing division. Like, I'm telling you, when you start going through a weight class and there's like 3 to 5 guys that are apart from the champions and apart from the top 5 that you could classify as sleepers, that's when you know it's a good division. BB just mentioned that Pro Box made the Joet Gonzalez Arnold K guy fight. Top Rank loves giving Joet title shots, so Leah should be prepared just in case. Oh man, I would love that fight. You know, I was just joking on Twitter that the winner of K guy versus Joet, that's the fight. That's the fight for who's going to be Angelo Leo's voluntary defense. I'm rooting for Joet. Oh, listen, man. I got a soft spot for Joet Gonzalez because when we were in camp for the Venado fight, I kid you not, we watched the Joet Gonzalez Venado Lopez fight like 60 times, sometimes in slow motion, and I wanted to like blow my brains out watching the fight so much. You know, I got tired of watching that fight, so I have a soft spot for Joet because if it was for Joet, I don't want to say if it was for Joet, but Joet played a role in that knockout of Venado without even knowing it. Wasn't Arnold signed with Top Rank a year ago? Now he's on Pro Box. I mean, to my knowledge, Arnold was signed with Top Rank back early in August because he fought on the Angelo Venado card. But the thing is, like, K guy doesn't have a lot of money behind him. Like, he doesn't have like it's hard for a guy like that to make money in boxing because he was supposed to fight. If you guys remember, K guy was supposed to fight who was it? Kameda. He was supposed to fight Kameda in the final eliminator, but his manager Sam Kravatsky pulled him out of it because the purse bid was too low. And then that's how Kameda versus Diamante became the fight, and then Kameda won, and then he became the mandatory. So I feel like K guy is waiting for Top Rank to make the fight, or if K guy wins this fight, maybe he's hoping that Enzo will pick him to be a voluntary, or one of the champions will pick him to be a voluntary. You know. Joet gave Venado a lot of problems. I was frustrated watching because I felt he was if he wasn't so hesitant at times, he would have won. Definitely not a blowout. No, it wasn't a blowout. I watched that fight. Listen, I watched that fight like 70 times. I'm tired of that fight. I'll never watch that fight again because I watched it so much to prepare for the Angelo Venado fight. But I think his lack of IQ lost in that fight. Straight up. He has all the. He's a professional. Like, he's a professional. He works hard. He throws a lot of punches. His IQ is not up to par, and he let Venado steal a lot of rounds from him. Like, Joet would win, like, he'd be winning like the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and then Venado would have the most dominant 1 minute you'd see it in the back half of the fight, and that's what would make the fight make him lose a lot of rounds in the fight. So we knew that coming in. When you fight with Venado Lopez, Venado may not do much the first 2 minutes of a round, but in the very last minute of the round, that's when he does his best work. Sometimes that's when he does his only work. So you have to always make sure when you fight Venado Lopez that you dominate the last minute of every round, because that's when he's gonna really come on in every single particular round. Like, literally, I remember there was one time where we watched the Venado Lopez fight with Joet, and it was me, Johnny, and Miguel Leo. and we would sit there, and Miguel would put me in charge of counting the punches landed for Joet. Johnny would count the punches landed for Venado, and then we would actually like we would count the punches and write it down, because this would help us evaluate trends and patterns with Venado, and then we formulate a game plan around that, and yeah, it worked out really well. I would love to see Joet fight Robinson Consensual, the dudes who get the most random title shots. Yeah, that'd be the top rank. That'd be the top rank super fight right there. Because Top Rank love giving Joet and Robinson Consensual title shots out of nowhere. That's the Top Rank special right there. But your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, we're here live in Tokyo, live in Japan. Make sure you guys run it up and smash that like button. Super chat if you've been enjoying the content on the channel. And you know, we're 110 minutes in, so I'm gonna go like 10 more minutes, and then I'll probably end the live, make it an even 2 hours. But you guys, you know, definitely keep the comments rolling in. BT, who do you got? Baranchik versus Davis. From what I've been hearing, people are favoring Davis by a large margin. I'm picking Keeshawn Davis. I think he'll beat Baranchik, but I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think Keeshawn Davis will win a fight where things are very tricky. And this is my prediction without me really like doing my film study yet. But I think Baranchik will be tricky, it'll be awkward. Keeshawn might look silly at times just because of the footwork that Baranchik has. But I think in the end, Keeshawn will make the adjustment, and he'll be the more critical puncher, and he'll be the more critical counter puncher. And I think he'll figure him out. I don't think he'll stop Baranchik, but I think he'll win a 116-112 decision and get a knockdown, something like that. Something along those lines. What do you think is the deepest division? 26, 40, 54 heavyweight. 26 by far. I'll say 126 will be the first. I will say that I'll say 154 will be second, 140 be third, and then I'll put heavyweight last. I'll put heavyweight last. They're all deep divisions. They all have good fighters, but I would say 126 is like the most dangerous weight class, because honestly, I mean, I think Angelo's the best, and I should think that because I'm part of the team and I know how good he is. But like in this weight class, you don't know what the hell could happen on any given day. There's that much heat at 126. You know, 15 can beat 1. You know, it's that kind of weight class. And then you're talking about different styles. Like you have a guy like Espinoza who's 6'1", who can fight on the inside, but also does have a good jab and can be a volume puncher and has thick bone density. You got a 5'1" guy like Nick Ball who just keeps coming forward over and over again. You got an Angelo Leo who can box out the high guard, box out of the Philly shell, counter out the Philly shell, angle off on you, and is an elite body puncher. You got Sue Montagao, who's a tough gatekeeper. You have Mirko. I mean, you have the most styles, the most different dimensions, and the most culturally diverse weight class in boxing at featherweight. So, yeah. I'm an old school boxing fan. I really appreciate a young fan like you is very knowledgeable about boxing. Much respect, bro. Most of your fans your age don't research or know a lot about the sport. No, because, and I always say this, like most people aren't actually fans of boxing. Boxing is a form of idol worship for them. Like they live vicariously through certain fighters. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay to a degree. I feel like we all do it to a degree if we have our favorites, but they do it at the expense of like, it's idol worship. Like nobody else is good but their favorite fighter, you know? And it's like, I like all of it, man. I like all of boxing. So I appreciate it. And obviously, you know boxing. Anybody who's attended Mark Two Shop Johnson and Montiel knows boxing. What do you think of Figueroa saying that he will try to fight on the outside? I mean, if he's gonna fight like that, then I'm very intrigued because Brandon Figueroa does not throw straight punches at an elite level. So the only way I think that'll work is if he's developed his straight left hand. Because if he boxes from the outside, he could wait Stephen Fulton out, and Stephen Fulton could try to close the gap on him, right? Fulton could close the gap on him, and maybe he gets Stephen Fulton to overcommit. But see, that's where you're gonna need a straight left hand to counter and make, because Fulton does lunge in sometimes, and he does leave his head on the center line. That's why he gets caught a lot with the straight right hand. But Brandon Figueroa does not throw straight punches. He loops. So maybe he can find a left hook, an uppercut, an overhand left. Those are the kind of punches he throws. He does not knock people out or knock people down with a straight left hand. So I think it could work if he's improved, but I don't think nothing on film has indicated improvements or the development in his style to me. So I think that's actually going to be to his detriment. And Stephen Fulton is going to bank a lot of rounds. You weren't talking about the featherweights today like you did in 2019 when you had Lee Wood, Warrington, Shakur, Gary Russell. The featherweight division wasn't as good as back then as it is now. Whatchamacallit? You had, yeah, no, it wasn't as good back then. That's why I wasn't talking about it. Fulton is an elite fighter. He can be beat beyond that. Fulton intentionally pushed Fig back and fought in Fig's chest for that reason. Yeah, I agree. Like Figueroa, like bro, honestly, and he might be Fulton because Fulton Fulton, maybe it is true. Maybe Fulton, maybe Inoue did take his soul. We'll find out when they fight. The ring will tell the truth. I don't think that Fulton got his soul took from Inoue. I just think that people are overreacting to what happened in the Castro fight, and they're using it to try to hype up Inoue. That's what I think. Not that Inoue needs any hype. He's a great fighter, but like truth be told, like Brandon has beaten some really good fighters. So I'm not trying to diminish him. I'm just telling you what I think. When I look at the landscape of the featherweight division, and I know if there's one weight class in boxing right now that I know inside and out, it's the featherweight division. From all the champions, all the way down from the guy ranked number 1 to number 15, I know this division. To me, he's one of the most overrated fighters in the featherweight division, honestly. From a skill standpoint, like defensively irresponsible, doesn't throw straight punches at an elite level, and he relies way too damn much on his size and his volume. And sure, it's worked against certain opponents, and it's gotten him out of some tough fights. But I just don't rate him. I don't rate him like a lot of people do. I don't. If he stops Fulton this fight, okay, that'll be a good step in the right direction. But I've never really been big on like Figueroa. Like I remember when he fought Julio Ceja. Fulton just seemed like he lost his confidence after the Inoue fight. I'm going with Figueroa. I'm sure he did lose some of his confidence. I mean, but I'll tell you this: Brandon Figueroa better not let Stephen Fulton win like a bunch of rounds early on, because he'll get confident real quick, and then you'll start seeing Stephen Fulton from 2021 come back to the forefront. So I think it's really imperative that Figueroa get off to like a really good start. The problem is the fight is at 126, not 122. Fulton is at a disadvantage. I don't see it as a disadvantage. I think I see this fight because like I thought Fulton was actually more of a disadvantage at 122, where he was more weight drained and where being at that weight, Figueroa was going to be able to impose himself more on a weight drained Fulton, which he did. In the back half of that fight, he did, and he had success. I think now it's actually a better fight. But we all have our opinions. We'll see what the truth is when they fight. I feel like everybody and their mother is picking Brandon Figueroa, and I understand why. I think up until about maybe like 4 or 5 days ago, I was picking Figueroa for that same reason. But then I started watching the film, and then I rewatched the Castro fight, and then I rewatched the Magdaleno fight to see if Brandon's really done, as Brandon really improved. like Brandon hasn't really improved the things I feel he's needed to improve on to beat Stephen Fulton, and so that's why I'm having a hard time picking him. But Fulton got like beat the hell up by Inoue, so it's like it's hard. It's hard. I just think Fulton has more paths to victory than Figueroa. Figueroa's path to victory is outwork Stephen Fulton and overwhelm with size and volume. And if that doesn't work, there is no plan B. Straight up, there's no plan B. He can't beat Fulton by decision. I don't think he can. I mean, he can by outworking him, but what I'm saying is I feel like Stephen Fulton could counterpunch him. Stephen Fulton could outbox him. Stephen Fulton could fight him in the pocket and beat him again like he did the first time. And you know what? I think Stephen Fulton could even hurt him. I'm going to put that out there. I think Stephen Fulton could hurt Brandon Figueroa. Because his punches are sharp. He's not necessarily a big puncher, but he's a sharp puncher. And Figueroa is so defensively irresponsible. Fulton is going to have more of his energy and strength retained. So I just think that it's not out of the possibility that Figueroa gets hurt. If Fulton wins, would you definitely see... I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you guys right now. If Stephen Fulton beats Brandon Figueroa, you're going to have Angelo and Miguel Leo on this channel calling him out to fight. They want that fight bad. Like, I don't think people understand how bad they want that fight. So, he has to win. He has to beat Brandon Figueroa. But if he touches, I'm telling you, and if you go back and you listen to all my videos where I mentioned that rematch, I've always said if Stephen Fulton touched that world title, that's the fight that they're gonna call for. So, I think we will see it. I think PBC would have no problem making the fight with Top Rank. Top Rank, you know, I don't know. I think that fight will get done. I personally think it will get done. We all know rematches, they will give Fig the win because he allegedly got robbed. Yeah, and he cried. I mean, he cried like I completely forgot how much whining he did when he didn't get the decision. It was ridiculous. The most likely outcome is Fig by decision, Fig by KO, TKO, Fulton by decision. I'm going with it's possible that Inoue beat Fulton's prime out of him. It's possible, but I personally, this is my opinion, right? And I know it's going to be classified as a biased opinion, but please tell me where I'm wrong. When Fulton fought Angelo, right? They both threw like a combined, what was it, like 1,800 to 900 punches, right? And I was looking at the punch stats the other night. Angelo Leo landed 262 punches on Stephen Fulton, and it was a very hellacious fight. Stephen Fulton himself, when he was arguing with Brandon Figueroa on Twitter after their fight, said that after the Angelo fight he had a bunch of headaches, but when he fought Brandon he didn't really have any headaches. He was okay. He went out that night or whatever. I think it actually started with the Angelo fight. Because if you look at every fight he's had since then, he looked good against Danny Armand, right? Performance. He looked good against Danny Armand. A lot of people thought he lost to Figueroa. I didn't, but a lot of people thought he did. And then he fought. Who did he fight after Figueroa? Was it Inoue? Was it Inoue right after Figueroa? Yeah, and then he fought Inoue, right? And then he lost that fight, and then Castro. So he's had one. I think it actually started with the Angelo fight, and then, you know, it's been really more pronounced. It's been more pronounced in the, you know, now with the Inoue. Like, Inoue might have finished it. We'll see. But I don't think he's finished. I think he'll be Figueroa. VB says Angelo hurt Fulton worse. Yeah, he did. Everyone keeps saying that Angelo lost 12-0. I don't know where that narrative started. I thought it was a tight fight in the first, like, 6 rounds, and then Stephen Fulton dominated the second half of the fight. But in the 4th round, go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. There was an incident where Fulton's on the ropes, right? So Fulton's on the ropes in the 4th round. You can go look it up. Fulton is on the ropes, and then Fulton throws an uppercut. Misses. He missed it, or no, he threw an uppercut, and then that missed. and then he goes and winds up to throw a hook. As he goes to throw the left hook, Angelo shoots a straight right hand down the middle. Bang! And Fulton was wobbled, and then Fulton was holding on, trying to survive the rest of the round. That was in the 4th round. I don't remember Fulton being that wobbled in the Figueroa fight. I remember him being hurt and wincing a little bit, but not like that. Danny Roman was at the Figueroa. Okay, so I'm getting the order wrong. So it was Angelo, right? And then it was Angelo, it was Figueroa. Then it was Danny Roman. Then it was what? Then there was a long layoff. Then Inoue. Fulton didn't get enough credit, in my opinion, taking on so many tough undefeated opponents. No, he doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I made that video the other day. And people didn't like that video. People still wanted to put Fulton down. But it's the truth. It's like people say they want the best to fight the best. They say, oh, we want to see the best fight the best. And then a guy goes ahead and does it. And then when he loses, you're like, oh, well, he's a bum. He's not that good. Now, when I say someone got exposed, I'm having fun. I don't really think like when Canelo Alvarez lost to Bivol, I was having a bunch of fun trolling. But I don't actually think Canelo Alvarez is trash. I don't actually think Canelo Alvarez is not a top fighter. I know he's a top fighter. I know he's an A-level fighter. But I was having fun. But like there's people out there that actually really believe that Stephen Fulton is trash because he lost to Inoue. BT, it's crazy that one way might become 112 because you got Yabuki fighting for the IBF, Kiyoguchi fighting for the WBO. Yeah, I like that. I'm so excited about Kiyoguchi versus Anthony Olas Kuaga. That's another fight. Like that's crazy. That card with Kenshiro and Akui and then Olas Kuaga and Hirota Kayaguchi. Those are two guys. Those are two potential fight of the year candidates. Style-wise, like those fights, there's no way those fights are going to be boring or not exciting or won't produce great exchanges because all 4 of those guys in both those fights are all hungry. They all got something to fight for. Their styles are going to mesh really well. Man, I can't wait. If Turkey offered Angelo, he couldn't cut for. Nah, we're not doing that. Fuck that. No way. Hyro, I'm about to block you. You keep doing this shit, Hyro. I tell you, when I talk to you on the phone, I'll be telling you, stop asking about Angelo at 122. He can't go to 122. When he fought Aaron Alameda, I was there. His fucking eyes were like sunken in. He barely made 122 on the dot when he fought Alameda. That's why he didn't look good against Alameda, because he was actually weight drained. And thankfully for him, he didn't fight no more at 122 after that. He moved up, which was the smart thing to do. Fulton Roman was another fight that was basically even after 8 rounds. Fulton swept the later. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch that fight. That's actually a fight I haven't watched in a long time. I've watched, a lot of Fulton's fights against like K-Guy, Isaac Avalar recently, the Figueroa rematch, Inoue, but I haven't. I watched Angelo. I watched Angelo versus Fulton like once a week. Inoue would fight Angelo 26. The issue is Turkey is puppeted by British promoters. Yeah, correct. So when you talk about Riyadh season, the Saudi boxing agenda is going to always be priority, and then after the Saudi boxing agenda comes the British boxing agenda. So British fighters will come first when we talk about Riyadh season. That's why Nick Ball is the guy. That's a big reason why Nick Ball is first in the queue to fight Inoue. Fine, then you said you were gonna show the video of Angelo. You've seen it. I've showed you the video. I don't need to do that here. I've shown you the video. All right, and I'm Aharo. You keep playing with me and you keep trolling. I'm telling you. I told you like 30 times already. Stop asking me about Angelo at 122. He can't make the weight. The dude literally almost died trying to make the damn weight against Alameda. If you ask me again or joke about it, I will block you for like 2 weeks. I'm not playing. I'm dead serious. So please take this serious because I will follow through with what I'm telling you. Stop asking about that. Rigondeaux versus Inoue at 118. Who wins? That's a good fight. That's a hell of a fight. I feel like Rigondeaux could outbox in a way, but his punch selection is too predictable. So I think, and the thing is about Rigondeaux, he is not durable. He don't got a good chin. Ricardo Cordova put him on his ass, and remember Julio Ceja was giving him problems. I think Inoue would stop Rigondeaux, honestly, at 118. Fulton is nowhere near trash. I thought he did damn good against Inoue. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if he did like damn good. I mean, I thought it was what it was. He got outclassed, and it was a boxing lesson. But to each their own. I respect your opinion. The champ at 126 who fights Inoue last can make the most money. Yeah, that's true. I don't know who that's going to be. I know it's not going to be Ball because Frank Warren's trying to cash him out before they got to fight Mirko Cuello. They don't want that fight. But I'm telling you right now, come on, Mirko. If Cuello handles this business on Saturday, we're about to turn up here on True School Sports. We're about to turn it up in the whole boxing world. We're going to start pushing for Nick Ball versus Mirko Cuello every single day. We're doing videos every day about it. I'm going to get Johnny, my friend Johnny, he's Argentinian. I'm going to have him come here, talk about Mirko Cuello versus Nick Ball in a separate video. Then I'm going to title it, Argentinian boxing fan goes off on Frank Warren about Mirko Cuello versus Nick Ball. Something like that. Do you want to... I'm not going to answer that, Harold. We don't talk about that guy. I'm in a good mood. We're not going to talk about that guy. BT Catterall versus Barbosa. Who do you got? The bookies have Catterall as a decent favorite. He should be. He's a better fighter. He's a much better fighter than Barbosa. Barbosa is very well-rounded. He's good at a lot of things. He's not great at anything. I think Catterall is very skilled. I don't see how Barbosa beats him. I think Catterall wins that fight by a late stoppage. There's another Argentine. Have you seen Cilio? No, I haven't. I don't know nothing about that guy, so put me on game. Who is Cilio? Here's some more Japanese views for you guys. While we're here. Yes, sir. It's crazy how what is it? It's been 2 hours and 12 minutes in. It's been like the quickest 2 hours and 12 minutes of my life. Talking to you guys, shooting off out the mouth about boxing. Oh yeah, I think Catterall. Yeah. Oh, is it? My bad. I dropped my phone. I think Catterall's gonna beat the brakes off Barbosa. Yeah, man. I mean, Catterall has sneaky power. Like he's shown it. He's shown it in the Taylor fights. He showed it even more in the pro grade fights. He has some power. He's an elite counterpuncher. He's elite at positioning. Catterall is one of the best 140 pounders. I see a fighter that's really good at. He's really good at a lot of things and elite at a couple of things. So, yeah. I think it could be a boring fight. I think it's very possible it winds up being a boring fight because Barbosa don't like to press the action like he should, and he don't really do anything that great. And Catterall, he's got no problem waiting out. So it might be one of those fights where you just have two guys waiting each other out. What do you guys think about Catterall versus Richardson Hitchens? Do you guys think Catterall versus Richardson Hitchens would be a good fight? The Falling Star says, what's your feeling on Inoue saying he is feeling more comfortable now to jump to featherweight? I mean, okay, it sounds nice. Why don't he go do? Okay, if that's the case, then what's the holdup? If that's actually the case, because I don't know what he says. I'm not hating. I'm answering a question just to put that out there because people are gonna come in here and start saying you hating. You said this about Inoue. So let me just get that out there. I'm only answering a question. I don't know what he said. I don't know the exact quote, but my man Falling Star, who's a loyal viewer of the channel, said he wants to know what's my feeling on Inoue saying that he's more comfortable to jump up to featherweight. Okay, if that's the case, then to hell with MJ, because you don't really want to fight him, and nobody really cares about Picasso. Let's be real, like nobody cares about the Picasso fight. And Junto has not confirmed a move to super bantamweight yet. So if what he's saying is true, then stop wasting time and then make your next fight at featherweight. How about that? Shout out to Felipe. What's good, Felipe? Hope all is well. By the way, I bought it. So when you commented on my video, I did buy. I had already bought an Inoue shirt, but then like I didn't have enough money to buy a second one. So I bought an Inoue shirt for me, but then I went to go try to change it once I saw your comment, because I bought it in a medium. I'm not sure if you're a medium or a large, but I bought it in a medium. So if you fit a medium, I'll just give it to you. Let me know if you fit a medium, Felipe. BT 140 sucks. Nobody gives a damn. TFM is going to vacate that belt. Yeah, I mean, because TFM will vacate that belt because he can't get the big fights at 40, and there's more money to be made at welterweight. So I understand it. Because his next few fights have been planned for almost a year. Well, change your plans, man. Listen, I love Japan. I love Japan, but one thing about Japanese culture is like, man, you can change your plans. You can change things. You don't have to stay so rigid. You can change things. You can call an audible. Just because they plan to fight Merjan and Picasso doesn't mean that they got to fight Merjan and Picasso. If his body feels comfortable enough to fight at featherweight, and he's saying that himself, and he's good enough to win the fights, then go to featherweight. He does not want to listen. He does not want to fight Merjan, not because he's scared, but he doesn't want to fight him because why? That's why he doesn't want to fight him. Like he doesn't want. They don't really want to fight Merjan because there's no money in the fight. They already beat guys in the weight class that were better than him, right? That's the truth. And nobody really cares about the Picasso fight. The only reason why the Picasso fight is a thing is because he's Mexican and they're gonna fight in the States. That's why. That's it. That's all. That's the only value there is in that fight. Is really more so the event around the fight, not the fight itself. So those are my thoughts. If he's sitting up here and he's flapping his gums talking about oh, I feel comfortable enough to go to featherweight now, then go to featherweight. Don't just say it. Go ahead and take some action. I blame Ohashi and slightly Aram for the Vegas event. Yeah, well, blame Mr. Honda too. Blame him as well because he is the guy in Japan that really oversees the international boxing. You know, any and all Japanese fighters, when they want to fight abroad, they have to go to Mr. Honda. So he believe me when I tell you he has some say so in all this. Look, I'm not mad. I'm happy that Inoue is gonna get a headline in a big U.S. venue as a big name now. But like Picasso, I mean, you just fought Yi Jun Kim. Like I like Yi Jun Kim. I love his story, and I hope Yi Jun Kim go as far as possible and become champion because I love his story. I love everything about his story. But that wasn't the fight was he was a 22-1 underdog, right? You just fought Yi Jun Kim, so I don't want to hear about Picasso, right? If you can make featherweight, which he's saying, I'm only answering the question. I'm not. I didn't come out here and just start saying this. I was asked a question. If he can make featherweight, go up. Why not? Inoue needs to spin the block on Casemiro. I agree with you. I think he should, but Casemiro looks like all he's been doing for training camp is eating hamburger helper and McDonald's and ice cream. Yeah, and cream puffs. Yeah, so I don't know if he can even fight at that weight. I mean, Casemiro in his last fight against Saul Sanchez, he missed weight. He missed the weight for that fight. Came in like 4 or 5 pounds overweight. So I doubt he can get to 122. Seriously doubt it. Here's my thoughts. So it's Kyoto. I was on the same page as you. I was very happy to hear them mention featherweight. That being said, Inoue fights very frequently. It's not like it's yearly if he faces ball. Yeah, he does fight frequently. So that's one thing I like about him. It's good for boxing to have one of the top fighters active. That's just my thoughts. When I hear that, like I haven't even seen the quote, so I have to actually read it in its full context, word for word, so I can come to my own conclusion. But if that's what he said, then that's what my response to it is. Casemiro has no promoter. Okay, see, I didn't know that. But what he wasn't Casemiro with that treasure boxing promotions or whatever. Oh, you know what? This looks pretty cool. I'm gonna go right here. Yeah, I like this. Look at that Tokyo Skytree. But yeah, like wasn't Casemiro with like treasure boxing promotions or something like that? I thought that was his promoter. Ah, okay. They dropped him because he's been in. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because he missed weight, and that's taken very seriously here. So yeah, he listen. As much as we all like to see the Casemiro fight, Casemiro has been out here eating hamburger helper. How's my Wi-Fi box? Good question. I ain't even checked it. You asking the right question. It's pretty good, but my phone's like on 25%. So we're gonna wrap this up here real soon, but we'll go a couple more minutes. Make sure y'all smash that like button. We here in Japan, just literally just talking and walking and enjoying the air, enjoying the water, enjoying the last moments here until 2026. Because I'm not gonna be back here in Japan till probably the middle of 2026. So it's gonna be 18 months away from this beautiful place. He is a liability. Even Alex has dropped the missing weight is a loss in promoters. Yep. That's one thing. It don't matter how good of a fighter you are. If you out here missing weight, not being professional, promoters don't want to mess with you. Do I think Fulton can win? I'm picking him. To beat Brandon. I think he's gonna beat Brandon. Everyone's out here acting like Brandon Figueroa is Julio Cesar Chavez. Nah. Like Brandon made all this improvement and did all these great things since he lost to Fulton. Nah, he's the same fighter. I hate to say it, like, cause I do believe in fighters progressing and regressing. I don't think he's gotten worse or better. I think he's literally exactly the same, which isn't a bad thing. Brandon Figueroa is a top fighter. He's an elite fighter, but he's elite at one thing, which is what he does, which is rely on his size and his volume. He don't got no straight. He don't throw punches at a straight level. His footwork is not the sloppy. It's not the best. Head is always on the center line. I mean, if you can deal with Brandon Figueroa in volume, like Julio Ceja did, like Stephen Fulton did, then you can beat him. Fig only fought twice in 2.5 years. Exactly. Everybody's running their mouths about, oh, Stephen Fulton didn't fight. Stephen Fulton wasn't active. Brandon, what? Brandon's been one of the most irrelevant fighters at featherweight for like the longest time now. This is the most relevant he's been probably since he fought Mark Moxile. That's the truth. And Mark Moxile, that fight was in March of 2023. So Moxile was out of shape and cut. He cut Brandon Figueroa's output half. Have you guys ever watched fights where Brandon Figueroa doesn't have high output? When you cut his output at half or he can't throw, he's very, very regular, super regular. Honestly, the one win I can say he did that was really good was Castro. Castro was a really good win because Castro, tricky guy, long rangey, can box, and he got him out there with the body shot. So I gotta respect him for that. Neri is a good win as well, right? Neri is a good win, but Neri is a naturally smaller guy. Neri. His best days were at bantamweight. Everyone knows that Neri's best days of boxing were at bantamweight. Good win, but that's such a smaller guy, so that's not quite as impressive to me. Yeah, people. I think I'm really not trying to put him down or be disparaging about him. I'm just telling you guys. I'm just speaking about strictly his boxing skills. I don't think his boxing skills or his IQ or his defense. I don't see why everybody rates him as like this top featherweight. He's really not even like, unless he beats, like, in my opinion, if he don't beat Stephen Fulton, I don't even count him being the world champion because he didn't win it in the ring. They gave it to him. They said, here you go, Brandon. Here's the belt. That's the truth. So to me, this fight, in my mind, this fight's for the vacant WBC featherweight title. Rate your Japan stay out of 10. 15. I've had a great time in Japan. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. I've grown a lot. So I would say it's like a 100 out of 10. I'll put it above 10. Anything above 10. Why would Fig be afraid of Vargas? I think they are both weight bullies. Well, look, I don't think Figueroa is afraid of Vargas, but if they were to fight, I think it would be a very hard fight for Brandon. You know, Vargas is long, he's rangy, he can box. He's the kind of guy that could definitely cut Brandon Figueroa's punch output in half. And we know when Brandon Figueroa isn't over here doing all this, he ain't really that effective. He don't got the skills to beat you in other ways. He's not versatile. He don't got, like basketball fans. When you hear basketball fans talk about certain players, you know, they talk about, oh, this guy has a deep bag of skills. His bag is deep, or he doesn't have a bag. Brandon Figueroa don't really got a bag. Don't. He couldn't stop Ball's output. Bro, Nick Ball is 5'1". So I'm not gonna knock him for that one. Nick Ball is like 5'1". What is Vargas? I know Vargas is really tall. I'm not knocking him for that one. He would cut Brandon's punch output. I believe he would, because he's not gonna have to punch down. I feel like it's very hard sometimes to punch down on a guy like that. You know, Figueroa, that's more like eye level, closer to eye level. You know, he can probe a little easier. I think I don't really care to see the fight because I don't really like I don't care for Ray Vargas like that. I don't really care for Brandon Figueroa like that, to be honest with you. Like those aren't featherweights that I get over the moon about watching fight most of the time. But I think he could definitely cut his injury, his output in half. Ray Vargas got a shoulder injury when negotiating the fight. That's why Figueroa got elevated. Yeah, but why didn't Vegas make the fight, this fight for the vacant title? Why are you awarding a guy for doing nothing? Everyone had all this smoke for Jaron Ennis for getting an email title. They had all this smoke for Devin Haney getting an email title. And now listen, you guys know I don't really care for or agree with the LDBC, but like for something like this is where they have a point. This is why I feel like they might have a point. Brandon Figueroa getting a pass for being the email champion, but we never hear nobody like talk about him like he's the email champion. He like Brandon Figueroa is getting talked about like he's some sort of legitimate champion, like he's Rafael Espinoza, like he's Nick Ball, like he's Angelo Leo. No, them guys won their titles, you know. Them guys actually won the damn titles. Figueroa did not. So, Fig had the interim. This fight for Fulton is like fighting for the. I understand. I understand why he got elevated. I'm just saying, like, I haven't been seeing that same energy. I haven't. And I understand like every situation is different and there's nuances, but I'm just saying. Figueroa got upgraded despite the plan to fight Fulton anyway, and not Vargas. Boxing has attempted to throw Ray Vargas to the curb for years. Yeah, but to Ray Vargas' credit, Ray Vargas has been so good that he hasn't allowed boxing to throw him to the curb. Like, they were trying to throw Ray Vargas to the curb when he fought Mark Moxile, and Ray wasn't having none of that. Ray, the old master Ray, he just had that jab in his face the whole time, just boxing him, showing him that intelligent school of Mexican boxing. Maybe more than Vargas. Maybe he deserves it more than Vargas, but I don't think he should have a title right now. I don't look at him as a champion. He needs for me to look at Figueroa as a champion, he needs to beat Stephen Fulton. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, even with bouts, like Jaron Ennis, I like Jaron Ennis. He beat David Avanesyan, right? And then he beat Karen. And I guess now he's in the unification fight, so it's a bit different now. But I have a hard time even looking at bouts as the champion, As crazy as that sounds, because he's in a unification fight. Vargas, before his broken leg, would have no issues with Ball or Figueroa. I agree, 1,000%. I thought he lost Nick Ball. I'll be honest. I thought he lost Nick Ball, and they robbed. They did rob Nick Ball. I thought Nick Ball should have won the fight, but yeah. He's a crafty boxer. Me and Angelo have had this conversation because, Angelo rates Ray Vargas, Angelo rates Ray Vargas high, and it's for these reasons that I'm reciting back to you. It's like he's a really crafty, long, rangy boxer, and his legs aren't what they used to be. So of course he's not as effective as he used to be. But boxing, I respect him because there's certain fighters that boxing just wants out of the way, and up until this whole thing with Brandon being elevated, they haven't moved him out of the way. Everybody show your appreciation. Shout out to my main man, 50 grand. Sean Zattel, the Dundada of boxing media. Yes. It's the true school. It's the Zattel era. The Zattel true school era. It don't matter the order. Y'all understand. What's up, Sean? Sean says, what up, man? And apparently, Sean, I heard that Dave Benavidez was pressing you. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I heard Dave Benavidez was pressing you. Are you with Inoue saying the minimum requirement to fight Junto is he becomes undisputed or unified? No, absolutely not. You didn't have that requirement for fucking Yi Jun Kim. You don't have that. You didn't have that problem for Paul Butler. Now all of a sudden you got to finally be in a Japanese legacy fight. Something Ken Shiro is about to do already twice. You now trying to do it for the first time to be in a real high-level Japanese legacy fight, and now you want to put stipulations on people? No, I don't agree with that. I think it's corny. I think it's super corny. Straight up, everyone in Japan in the boxing community that I've talked to wants to see that fight. Everyone in America who knows who those two are wants to see that fight. And what is it? It's not a requirement. It's what Junto said he wants. Well, Junto's gonna say, listen, that's the right thing to say. Of course he's gonna say that. But I've also heard Inoue. I've heard Junto say it, which is correct. But I vividly remember telling Inoue saying that Junto should fight Takuma in order to fight him. He did say that because he was asked a question by the Japanese media. That's a fact. And he was saying this while Takuma had a fight signed with Seiya Tsutsumi, the same Seiya Tsutsumi that fought Kazuki Anaguchi in one of the greatest fights in the history of Japanese boxing, and a life was lost. It was that hellacious of a fight. So they weren't even taking Seiya Tsutsumi serious. So that's what I think. To be fair to David, I might have asked him one too many tough questions in a point to prove I'm not showing favoritism. Well, you gotta do that sometimes. Like you gotta do that. I feel like you gotta do that sometimes because people on YouTube like to question our journalistic integrity, and they like to say, "Oh, you're biased with this guy and that guy and whatever, this, that, and the third." And nah, man. When it comes to people like me and Sean, we really love boxing. Like we're really here for the boxing fans. We're really here for the boxing community. I'm literally in Japan. I came to Japan on a whim, to get content out here, So straight up, don't question someone like Sean who's been at it for longer even than I have in the Vegas fight scene, doing big things, Do I know the next fight date for Inoue? Absolutely not. I don't know, and I'm pretty sure Ohashi Promotions doesn't even know an exact date. They have an idea because they said it after the fight, but I believe they're probably targeting April. Maybe if I had to take a guess, I would say either probably late April, the beginning of Golden Week in Japan, because that's a big holiday here in Japan, and a lot of people get off for work. So I would say something like that. Sean Zattel says Benavidez TKO 7-10. Morell could be all wrong for him, but I think Benavidez applies educated pressure, displays one of the elite offensive art. That's what I said earlier, Sean. I had made the point earlier that if you compare both fighters, if you compare both fighters' offensive, or not offensive skills, but if you compare Benavidez' light heavyweight debut to Morell's light heavyweight debut, Morell had a terrible light heavyweight debut compared to Benavidez. You know, some people even question if he won the fight against Hot Rod, which I thought he won, but it wasn't like a great performance. I thought Benavidez got unfairly criticized, and I was even one of the people doing the unfair criticism until that day me and you sat back and watched the fight again. And then I said, you know what? Nah, man. Benavidez actually showed he had craft and slickness and defensive skills in the pocket. And I just feel like in this fight, Benavidez is going to show that he has one of the most dynamic offensive arsenals in the game, and he's going to absolutely beat the brakes off. Not beat the brakes off, but he's going to stop Dave Morell in like, I think I said 9 rounds. That's what I was saying, 9 rounds. You know? I just think once Benavidez gets adjusted to the hand speed of Dave Morell, he's gonna have too much different looks for him, because Benavidez can shift. He can shift from one stance to the other and then throw a power punch out of a different combination, out of a different stance. He can be the volume puncher. He can be slick. He can be a counter puncher. And he's got a really underrated jab. And he's got balls down to his ankles. So I feel like the burden of proof is on Morell, because we know what we're getting with Benavidez. We don't know exactly what we're getting with Morell at this level. So it's his chance to really put himself on the map. Sean says, BT, I see you're starting to dig. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm it's like Joe Cortez said, I'm fair, but I'm firm. I had my criticisms for him because I was pissed off that he was waiting around for Canelo Alvarez, because I never thought Canelo would fight him. I was very adamant about that for years, and people thought I was hating, and I was proven right. Canelo still hasn't fought Benavidez, and he just still, like the other day, Canelo just made a comment the other day, so this real diva-like comment where he said, when a guy talks about you like that, then you shouldn't give him money. Like, shut up, man, be quiet, like, be quiet. Just fight William Skoll. Just troll and fight William Skoll and become undisputed again and cash out with Crawford, and whatever happens with that fight, and set off into the sunset. You don't got to do all that. It makes you look bad, like you're scared of the guy, which I don't think Canelo Alvarez is scared of Benavidez. Why would Canelo Alvarez be scared of Benavidez? He's fought like 60-something times. He's fought all kinds of styles. He's been on the biggest stages, you know? I don't, like, you got, like, just sail off into the sunset. You don't want to fight Benavidez, and it's okay. In his early days when he was overweight, he fought up to 180 plus. Yeah, he's a big kid. He's a big kid. Song Gon says, you're doing great work. I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best. Sean says, great. Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you. I'll definitely be seeing you when I get back to Vegas. I'm leaving Japan on February 3rd, and I'm like 14 hours ahead of you, so February 3rd is a little closer for me than it is you right now. So I'll be back home soon, and I'll see you soon. And you know what, Sean? Maybe not right away. Maybe like the day after I get back, I would like to just do a podcast or something. You know, go to your house and like, you could have a live going on your computer. I could have a live going on my phone, on my computer. Boom, simulcast right there at the hotel residence. Boom. Give the people what they want. Why is Sean still rocking the 17th century peasant haircut? Listen, man, y'all gotta stop worrying about Sean Tatel's hair, because Mrs. Tatel is okay with Sean Tatel's hair, and that's all you need to know. Sean's doing good for himself, so you don't need to worry about his hair. I'm with it, brother. Looking forward to seeing you back in the States. Yes, thank you. Me too. Me too. You think Benavidez can move all the light heavyweights out who started at the weight class below? I can see if his chin holds up. Do you think Benavidez can move all the way up to heavy? To heavyweight? Fuck. For the right guy. I feel like we can't even talk about heavyweight with Benavidez until he fights a cruiser. So I think, like, provided he could beat someone, if he beats Morell, if he doesn't fight better, be Evan Bivol, then I wouldn't mind seeing Benavidez go up the cruiserweight and to challenge the likes of like Jael Pataya. I think Zorro would be a good fight, because like Zorro and Benavidez used to spar a lot back in the day. So that I think that's very realistic, and Zorro has proven himself in a very short time to be a very good cruiserweight. I mean, he's gone up there. He beat Chris Billum Smith. He's filled out. I mean, that'd be a great fight, him and Benavidez. Yeah. Tell him, Sean. Yeah. Tell him, Sean. I gotta watch that Benavidez thing. Can't believe Benavidez pressed my guy Sean like that. Listen, I was saying before you even got in the live, Sean, I was saying earlier that because somebody had brought it up to me if I saw it, and I told him I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet. And I was like, well, I hope Benavidez, and Sean are still cool because Sean is the number one Benavidez advocate in boxing media, you know. Remember, listen, Sean's the guy that went to Big Bear and was interviewing Benavidez when he was a prospect. Sean loves Benavidez. That's like a guy that he'll always go to bat for. So it would actually break my heart to see Sean and Benavidez not on good terms. But I just think it's probably the nerves and the last moments between a big fight. When you go to these big fights, there's a lot of pressure on these guys. So it's going to be very difficult to. It's sometimes hard to control your emotions. You know. Yeah. Yeah, Sean, tell him we wear the red flag over here. Quality control like Grand Cone. Yes, yes. Shout out to Grand Cone. Shout out to the 49ers. La Bandera Roja. That's right. That's right. Harold says, does Sean love Benavidez more than me? Yes, 1,000%. Sean loves Dave Benavidez on a level that most people can't even comprehend. And he does it, though, and he still asks some tough questions. So you can't say he's being biased if he's out here still doing his job, asking the tough questions, Straight up. Well, guys, look, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up because my phone's going to die soon. And, I got some things to tend to today here in Japan. But look, you guys take care. I'll be back in the States soon, but there's still like plenty of interviews and content to drop. So I got some heat coming out soon. So when I drop these interviews and some of the exclusive stuff I got sitting in the chamber, you guys will enjoy it. But until then, you guys take care. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, from the Tokyo Skytree, right here in Sumida City, Tokyo, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.